Welcome, guys, to Birds of a Feather, live on A2DRadio.com from the Real Talk Studios. Chrome, Chucks, Ryan Brodo on the ones and twos, Greg Malakovic joining us today.
What's up? What's up?
First half of the show, brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com. Also by Specialized Physical Therapy. You can find them in Burlington, Princeton, and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Find them on the web, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question this week coming out of Eagles-Cowboys week. Should Jim Schwartz be fired? Yes? No? No, but he's definitely on the hot seat. Hopefully you're joining us on Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube. Looking forward to talking to the fam tonight. We're going to talk Eagles-Cowboys recap. We're going to preview Eagles-Saints. I'm not looking. That's going to be another disaster.
Can we not preview
We're
it?
going to talk the NFC East as the picture stands today. And today is our 1-year anniversary show, guys, which is why we have Greg on, because Greg was on our first episode in this very spot. Little Greggy Poo sandwich.
Yeah.
Well, when we had the couch, yeah.
Back when we had the couch.
Back when we had the couch, but it's still Greggy Poo
I had
sandwich.
the corner.
But
Had the Chrome and Chuck sandwich.
yeah, but we're looking forward to talking to you guys, and we're wearing our Marvel shirts in honor of Stan Lee today.
R.I.P. to the GOAT.
R.I.P. He is the GOAT. And we have our Spider-Man shirt hanging up over here. We want to make sure we pay respects to the legend, Excelsior, all the good stuff. So
Seriously, how much does that suck, by the way, though?
that's crazy. Listen, he's-
Talk
I
about
mean, not to get off
kicking
topic
you when
right
you're
away,
down,
but, like,
man.
no, but
Yeah, I mean, that happened like on Monday. You're
Yeah,
like,
it's like,
you're already
crap.
pissed from Eagles Cowboy week, and then it's just like, no.
listen.
Ugh.
And we'll get right on in the topic in a minute. But he's a 95-year-old guy who lived an amazing life and changed so many minds and really expanded generations and opened up the imagination of people. And he's one of those guys. He just never felt like he was ever going to die.
No, like
That's crazy. He is as close to immortal as there's ever been somebody in my life.
I compared him to Hugh Hefner. Like,
Yeah.
who had the greater life?
Better.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Stark
Like,
contrast.
Who had?
No.
I mean, totally different ends of the spectrum.
Right.
But I mean, goodness.
I always characterize him as he is the Walt Disney of comic books and those kind of characters, which says a lot about the guy.
Yeah.
So anyway, rest in peace to Stan. We wanted to make sure we showed our respects today.
Stan the man.
So, guys, Eagles, Cowboys, who wants to start talking? Because I don't want to. Tough game, guys.
I mean, we go on poll question. We just going overall thoughts.
I guess we'll do poll questions.
Poll question. Jim Schwartz. I believe that I'm finally on the train, and I've been kind of a proponent for giving the guy a longer leash. But I think I'm now at the point, the only thing that saves this guy's job. Now, he absolutely deserves to stick around till the end of the year. The only thing in my mind that saves this guy's job, it's not even about the wins and losses, because if the offense costs them losses down the road, which I expect is going to happen because I'm not a fan of Mike Rowe either, and I think that he's more on a hot seat right now, but is if they have good showings against the New Orleans Saints, the Los Angeles Rams, and at least 3 of these divisional games that are coming up in the second half. He should every game. But I know we have injury issues now. We lost Ronald Darby. Huge loss.
Yeah.
So, we're hurting in the secondary right now. So, no, I think that I do believe he's in the hot seat. I believe he should be fired, barring an unforeseen circumstance, which I don't expect, because I fully expect for us to get absolutely smoked this week. And then I'm going to the Rams game for the slaughter. So,
that trip took a different dichotomy.
but it's still L.A., and you know I love L.A. when I go out
if
there.
it's still there.
Well, that's true. And we hope that everybody who's suffering from the wildfires out there is okay, safe, and we wish you guys all well as well.
Yes.
But, that to me, that's where it's at. It's pretty cut and dry. The defense has to make a really big turn, and with all the injuries too, and I hope that they're not going to use that as a damn excuse.
They're not, because I listened to his presser today, and I know it's pressure talk. You know what I mean? I get that. But you know Jim Schwartz, he's a cocky SOB.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to get into pressure talk. He's going to be who he is at all times.
Yeah, stubborn as hell.
And he's to a point though. He's right. He talked about it's not necessarily an overall game plan that's been bad. It's not necessarily the prevent defense that we all hate has been bad. He's like, and he explained it. He goes, it comes down to 1 or 2 plays per drive that we don't get that last year we did.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And to a point, he's probably right. I don't watch much after the actual game itself. So, yeah, you're right. Because you could go on both sides of the ball with that too.
Yeah.
Last year we were dynamite on third down on both.
Yeah.
On both sides. Now we can't do diddly on third down.
Yeah, and the red zone.
So those are 2 huge parts of especially the defense where, last year everything went right and this year it's a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
I think if he really did say that, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to disagree. It's not just one or 2 plays here and there where just like, oh, we could have had it. No. Like, it's the whole season. The number one thing for me has been the fact that we can't get off the field on third and long, 4th and long. And why is that? Is part of it due to the quote-unquote prevent defense? Okay, maybe. But here's my small counter to that. We did the same thing last year and it worked. So why is it not working now? And that's where I dive deeper. And I say, the reason why it's not working now is because offenses know how to attack it, but Schwartz isn't adjusting to anything. Like, the offenses now know how to attack Jalen Mills when he's in there, obviously. Liability all season. Offenses know how to attack when he plays off on 3rd and long because they're just throwing a bunch of screens because he has our cornerbacks like 9 yards off of the wide receiver. So they're going to throw screens all day because that's a good way to attack it because you have the time to set up the blocks. When you don't have the personnel, and this is my number one gripe, when you don't have the personnel to play your scheme,
you got to make adjustments.
What did we always say about Chip Kelly? He's trying to fit a round peg in a square hole. That's Schwartz. Schwartz right now is the Chip Kelly of defense. You have certain players where you really have to know what their strengths and weaknesses are. But if you don't and you constantly put Mills out on an island, you constantly put Rasul Douglas out on an island, or Chandon Sullivan, or whoever's going to be back there now, out on islands in a cover 3 scheme where they have to go one-on-one against guys like Amari Cooper, or you had guys weeks ago like Corey Davis. That's not going to work. You need a better scheme. So that's where his stubbornness has really been his downfall is, yeah, there are injuries. Stuff happens. Offenses know how to attack certain guys now. So what are you going to do?
Well, there's an issue now with tackling. Nobody can tackle in the secondary either. Outside of, Malcolm is in there making tackles, and for the most part, Nigel Bradham and those guys are making tackles, but none of our defensive backs are tackling. They're getting burned. They're going low. They're getting burned. They're not wrapping guys up. And it's like watching pinball, just bounce right off.
It's almost like, we put so much heat on the cornerbacks and the defensive backs to tackle. But what about the front 7 that the running back just ran right through without tackling?
That's a fair point.
You know what I mean? Like, where's that? You know what I mean? Because you're right. Have they tackled a lot worse this year than they did last year? Yes, 100%. But I think
don't feel like I'm seeing the aggressiveness in the secondary.
There's no aggressiveness
at all
on either side of the ball. There's no aggressiveness at all. And that's one of the biggest differences from, somebody put it out there like, while you have the same players from last year to this year, they're not the same team.
No.
Because there's nothing beating in their chest and there's nothing hanging between their legs anymore. Because
that's a fair point.
And I know Tom alluded to it a couple weeks ago, and somebody at work brought it up. We let him off the hook.
Oh, numerous times.
You know what I mean? Like, we let him off the hook. My guy at work was saying he was at a Penn basketball game, and Alshon Jeffrey was right in front, and the dude could not have been nicer. You know what I mean? Greeting fans, taking pictures, signing autographs. Could not have been a nicer dude. But at the same time, is that what we want from our guys? like where's that dog mentality? You know what I mean? Where's Where's that us against the world mentality that we've been our entire lives? You know?
No,
and it's I think a part of that is, like I said, is us letting them off the hook after they won the Super Bowl.
No, I agree, and we're not playing complete games. We talked earlier. Sometimes on offense they come out slow. Sometimes they come out fine. But I haven't seen a complete game this year aside from the Giants game, and there's no excuse to give up 2 17-point leads in a season. Absolutely no excuse. And what that tells me is, yes, are the other teams capitalizing on our mistakes? Absolutely. But they still have to make plays, and we're creating open opportunities for these guys to make plays, whether it's on the ground by, the front seven, allowing them to open up holes. I mean, we talked about Lane Johnson, what a disappointment his season's been at this point. Jason Peters, yeah, we could say that. But, again, a guy coming off of a major injury at his age, I don't know that I could have expected much better, and I think it's highlighted because the rest of the offensive line doesn't look good.
If Jason Peters off an ACL at 36 is your worst offensive lineman, you're doing something. You're okay.
But he's not.
I
mean, you can make an argument that Lane Johnson this season has been the worst offensive lineman, and that's a major issue because we talk about it. We talked about it all last year. We talked about it coming into this year. The game is won at the lines. And they're not winning on either side of the football right now. Now, we have our moments and we have our spurts where Fletcher Cox is getting in. Michael Bennett's had an absolutely phenomenal season to this point, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more.
To me, take out Fletcher, he's easily been our best defensive lineman at this point.
I don't even think you take him out. I think even with him
and it's possible. He might be having a better year than Fletcher at this point. And that's concerning, that that a guy who came in who wasn't supposed to take on a major role is turning out to be your most pivotal player on defense. And again, that also comes down to some of the injuries that we've had. Now, I think when we get Timmy Jernigan back, that's going to help solidify a little bit on that end. It's going to take some of the strain off of some of these guys. But, again, if the offense is not creating enough time for these guys to get off the field and they're just constantly on the field running up and down trying to defend, you're going to have a problem because you're gassing everybody out at this point.
Yeah, I think that with I hate to bring it up again, but it's a nut like with I know you guys just said that even with Cox there, Ben's been better. I think Cox has been who he is. I don't want to say his play has been bad. It's just that when you don't have someone next to him anymore that could take on and take advantage of Cox getting double teamed, as in Timmy Jernigan, and you don't have depth in the rotation anymore on the interior, Cox is going to get double teamed, and there's nothing they can do about it. Like, there's absolutely nothing they can do about it now. I want you guys to name me the two guys that were playing interior defensive linemen with Cox for majority of the game, other than Haloti Ngata.
Some dude named Hector.
Trayvon Hester.
Or Hector.
And name me the other guy.
I don't know.
You don't know. Exactly.
But again.
Exactly.
But again.
So no,
they're
not making
my
excuses.
$100 million man.
No. I'm not making
you know
an excuse.
What I mean? They're not supposedly the best defensive tackle in football.
I'm not making an excuse for Cox, but what I'm saying, it goes back to what I was concerned about months ago in the offseason is no one's talking about the depth of this defensive line, especially on the interior. No one was. Everyone was talking about linebacker, offensive line, wide receiver, stuff like that. I was naming interior defensive line as the number one concern because there was with Timmy Jernigan out, who was going to be that guy? And right now we're showing that there is no other guy.
Well, we're showing that in a lot of positions.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, it's for our defense, it starts in the trenches. There is a glaring hole. You want to know why we got gashed so many times? Because they took advantage of that no-name guy that was next to Cox, and that's what's going to happen. Like, that guy that was in there, I forget his name. I learned it this morning, but I forget it. He got bullied by that offensive line. He absolutely got bullied.
You're not wrong, but the greats are supposed to be able to elevate the other guys around them.
Yeah,
so if Fletcher's taking a double team, that guy's just got to beat a one-on-one.
Yeah,
so
like Graham.
If he can't beat a one-on-one, hey,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Graham, yeah.
You know, we always look for Fletcher because he's our guy, right? He's our moose right there in the front. You know, I was watching the Rams game on Red Zone, so you know how often they actually get to the game. Every time they were Seattle had the ball, you heard nothing but Donald.
Yeah.
Even on red zone, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
to where you're only watching portions of the game, you still heard nothing but Donald. You heard Cox a little bit early, and then he went away. And $100 million players can't go away.
Well,
And I'm not putting it all on him.
Yeah, no, I get what
but
you're
we're
saying.
talking.
And I'm not defending
And
him
listen,
either.
we're talking about all the depth issues. Now, we went out and got Golden Tate, and it was pretty clear he had a limited knowledge of the offense to this point. But looking back now, missing on the opportunity to go after a guy like a Bruce Irvin or to go after a Ha Clinton Dix. Did we miss?
Well, Bruce Irvin stings because you didn't have to give up anything for him. You know what I mean? He was a free agent. He was cut.
But it was an opportunity to bring in some kind of a depth piece, a guy that has been productive.
Absolutely.
To take a shot. Did we miss the boat on these guys by focusing on the passing game or looking to improve the offense, which maybe we didn't need to have that weapon there?
Well, I think where we missed the boat was in the offseason, not here at the deadline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I said about Golden Tate. I like the deal. I like Golden Tate.
Me too.
But did it really help your backfield?
No.
And again, another game where not necessarily, we couldn't run the ball because we have no one back there that can run the ball. So I understand why we're passing the ball 57,000.
Oh, you mean Josh Adams wasn't like that enough?
57,000 times because who realistically are you handing the ball off to?
Now, I mean, I've heard.
Now, what really bugs me about the Golden Tate thing is, and I'm not saying he's not by any means, and it might have been a scheme thing. It might have been a let's ease him in. But you get a guy that's got 10 days to learn the offense, who's supposed to be a smart guy, who probably played some sort of a similar offense in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sure, it's not the West Coast, but, he probably played in similar schemes and similar things throughout his career. He was only on the field for 29% of the play.
Yeah, that's
that
egregious.
bothers me.
You have
That's
8 games
very
here.
bad.
That
You have
bothered me.
8 games.
Yeah,
I don't
Every
care.
single one of them is a must-win.
No, I don't
don't
even
care.
care if you put him out on the field as a decoy, but he has to be on the field.
Yeah, he
more.
has
I
to be on
agree
the
with
field.
that.
That's
Like,
absolutely
I
atrocious.
expected about 40% of the snaps at the very least.
The least.
At the very
Maybe
least.
more.
Now, where I do like where he brought is you saw a little different Nelson, though.
Yes, you did.
You saw different use for Nelson. And I think we all agreed on throughout all the shows on here that you would see a different Nelson, but I was glad to actually see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? See him go deep and catch that ball if he actually really did catch it.
He caught it.
No, I know he did. I'm
caught
just like after that first initial, I'm like, oh, hurry up. Get to the line.
Based on the new rules. That's what we're talking about.
absolutely.
Based on the new
Yeah.
rules, that is a catch.
Yeah, but it was
But,
just like, well, I see movement. Let's go.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree. But
No, sorry, go ahead.
No, dude.
But Chris Ross says if you want, and going back to Schwartz, if you want him fired, who's out there to replace him? I didn't answer the poll question yet, but I agree with what Chrome said. I'm on the boat that yes, he should be fired, but not until the offseason.
yeah, to me, you gotta wait it out.
gotta wait
at
it
this
out.
point and see what opens up and what's available. I don't want to speculate on anybody because I don't know that I like anything that's out there right
now. And
But there will be guys that are going to be
mid-season,
out there.
especially with, I know that the chances have gone down, but technically they are still in the division race. If you fire him now, that sends a bad message. So you want to still ride it out for this season.
Right.
But at the same time, I've just had way too many issues with his stubbornness to be like, okay, let's go another season. Even with all the injuries, they're just and another thing goes back to the Jalen Mills thing. Like, this guy. Well, let me retract that. All of us know what Jalen Mills is, but for some reason Schwartz loves him to death. That's a red flag, and I've been saying it. Like, be aware of what your players are and aren't. Mills is not a good outside corner. Move him to safety where he would probably be better, but they don't want to do that.
Well, I do think his physicalness would be much more suited
for safety.
at a
And
safety position.
he can play a deep zone, but not a zone on the outside where he has to account for the whole sideline and he's on an island. There's a difference. If he's playing deep zone, he can be aggressive. He can track a deep ball. He's shown on tape that he can do that very well. He can play safety. But I don't believe he can play at a high enough level outside corner. And I think that's already shown. But Schwartz is stubborn. He doesn't want to. Mills is his guy. I can't have that. I can't have that type of mentality where for some goddamn reason we can see how limited he is, but everyone else can't. So I don't know what they're doing with the personnel. The whole secondary, I don't know what they're doing. Avonte Maddox, granted, he's played well, but he gets free safety looks. I've said it for weeks. Your rookie slot cornerback is getting free safety looks. Where is Rasul Douglas? And granted, again, maybe Rasul Douglas really wasn't ready. Maybe he's not. And based on this past game, we saw that, yeah, he's not ready. He's so limited. That one incomplete pass deep to the left sideline, he got beat. We are lucky he's lucky Dak sucks and didn't hit the receiver in stride. I think that was Amari, but Dak didn't connect on him because it was a bad throw. But Rasul got beat, and you can see he does not have the foot speed to keep up with outside wide receivers. You think Mills is slow? Rasul is slower than Mills. So I know that Rasul has good ball skills and everything, but even he is limited. So what are you going to do? Where are you fitting all these pieces in? You put Sidney Jones, who never played slot, in the offseason, you put him in the slot. Why? That's just the whole, it goes back to the offseason of just questionable moves in the secondary. And it's gone to the point, even with the injuries, I've just had it. So I think Schwartz needs to go.
Well, you know what hides an average secondary?
A good front
pass
rush.
A great pass rush.
Pass rush, yeah.
And again, that going back to last year, that's what you got. So you hid a lot of these issues, that again we didn't address in the offseason. But get to the fam. I know they're blowing up.
Yeah. Pull it up because the ones I can't read that Zuck hates me for, I'm going to have you read them.
Oh, God.
Lenny Speed says, #Cowboys Nation, dilly, goodbye, Philly. Brother, you guys are still the same record as us.
Yeah,
Come
they're
on,
5-4. Good.
All right, let them have a week.
4 and 5.
I'll give
sorry,
you the
4 and
week.
5.
Listen,
4 and 5. Sorry.
I took a lot of it and didn't say a word back on Monday.
We can't say much right now. They beat us in their own
No,
house.
listen, I got you.
In a must-win.
No, and yeah, that's it. You're right. I can't say anything. Read me Andy's here.
Andy says, "What's up, fellas? Oh, look who decided to grace us with their presence, LOL. I'm going to say yes to the firing
I don't know if
because
that's me or Chrome.
I don't know any
That's you.
better.
It's probably Chrome.
Chrome love the shirt.
No, it's probably you because you're always in L.A. or wherever the hell you get sent
I've been
to.
on pretty regularly.
You have been on pretty regularly. Lenny Speed says Cowboys Nation. Frank says, hey, yo, sorry to bother you on your anniversary. Thanks, buddy. Hate to say it, but he has to go. Way too stubborn, and some of the choices in coverage have cost or nearly cost us several games. You can read Dion's. I can't see his.
What's up, guys? Poll question. No, not right now, but yes, he's on the hot seat like crazy. And to a degree, so is Doug. Not in the sense as Doug should be fired. That would be stupid to say, but he needs to be taking on some heat as well.
Oh, this is like the perfect transition.
There you go. All right.
Love it, Dion.
Go ahead,
Go ahead, Greg. Give us your reasoning why. So you think?
I'm not. No.
So
the fam's. Let's
all right.
go to the fam.
We're gonna get back to that, Dion, because we had a nice little conversation with Greg.
Yeah.
David Roska says, hello, what's up, Roska? And Roska, do not spoil anything for SmackDown for me or I will kill you. That's it right there. Leaving it at that. Marcus Polk says yes. Ryan Patrick says, should the Phillies sign Harper and Machado both or go after their biggest necessity like a Real Muto to solidify problems behind home plate?
Harper Machado, go.
I don't know about Machado. I'm all in on Harper. Though.
Harper. Oh, sorry.
Harper
Arenado.
You're not getting Arenado because you got to wait another year.
Yeah, you got to wait another. And well,
I don't hate it.
They
I
could.
don't hate it. I'll go Harper, Machado, Arenado.
I mean, yeah.
Then come see me.
Yeah, I would like to dive a little more into that in our no huddle later if we could.
Yes, sir.
Roska says, "What's up, boys, and what's up with no comment chat on YouTube?" The YouTube chat's working.
So, David, YouTube it's not us. YouTube's updating all features.
Oh,
so this is
this
apparently a worldwide thing.
Okay.
It's Tuesday. I mean,
They did this to us before, although we couldn't get the picture either.
So if anyone's
we were true radio then.
Anybody who's watching on the YouTube that has stuff to say, hop over to our Facebook. The chat's working over there.
Yeah, the chat's working on Facebook,
then
and hopefully it'll
by
be cleared up.
second half.
We'll set up an email for you.
Definitely, definitely the second half.
You want my number? You guys can text me stuff.
If you want to put that out there, bro, that's all you.
That's up to you.
No, listen,
867-5309.
Clever.
You are so smart, you know. We do plan on talking a little bit, well, probably a lot of bit of Sixers in the second half too, with the Jimmy Butler
Yeah,
addition
screw
this
the
week.
Eagles.
So, Lenny says, "We dem, y'all finish it." No, we're good, buddy. Thanks. Ryan Patrick says, "Congrats on your anniversary, gang. We appreciate it, brother."
Thank you, buddy.
Andy Ritter says, "That's a big sandwich. LOL. Love you,
It is
Greg."
a big sandwich. There's a lot of meat in that middle.
David Roska tells us that he can't get a job in Arizona. I'm sorry, man. I mean,
Try California.
Go to L.A.
Try to
yeah,
New
LA.
Mexico. Try another state.
I mean, why do you need a job? You're in paradise already.
Yeah, what's it like?
That's true.
Career Builder?
Like,
You could
just,
try that, or ZipRecruiter.
know.
I hear is pretty good.
Just
Andy,
be
I know a
retired.
few golf courses you can go to.
Andy also congratulates us on our anniversary. Tevin Tarantino says Alexander Dakota. I'm assuming he tagged somebody, which he did. We appreciate that. Zach Boylan says, yes, Jimmy Prevent should be fired. David Ross says, Eagles are still the champs. My Rams will win this Monday. Let's go, Rams. Let's go, Rams.
You're losing by 30.
David
Chiefs are
Raska
losing
says,
by
my
30.
Angels
Not at
are going
home
to
now.
keep Mike Trout forever. Probably. Well, no, I think Trout's
Mexico.
gone.
Got moved.
Chuno Perez says, all of y'all should be canned.
Cool.
Yay. Jason Pesa says, yes. Zach Boylan says, how many fourth and long are we going to give up? At least 3 games. We lost those situations. Were big reasons
Speaking
we
of that,
lost.
though, you know what's funny in his presser? Somebody brought up the prevent or the picket fence, and Schwartz claims that they have never given up a first down on a picket fence call. Now, whether it happened or not, it wasn't the call. So, like, if you think of, like, the Tennessee game, for example, apparently that might not have been the call. Like, it wasn't what's supposed to happen.
Bull.
And he says if, like, the one time with Alfred Moore, or not, who's the backup running back who for Dallas?
Rod Smith.
Where they threw the dump pass,
Yeah.
and he got down to the 4th down, and they went for it, but then they had the false start.
Mm-hmm.
He said had they had went for it, he would have counted that as an actual failure as well. But he said in his presser today that they have never given up a first down on a 3rd and 4th and the picket fence.
You should say that under oath.
Deion Brown says, we're very undisciplined on defense this season. Very. Chris Ross says, if you want him fired, who's out there to replace him? Again,
I agree, Chris.
We'll kind of wait on it. Yeah, we agree, but we'll wait on it. Jignesh Patel says yes. Adam Aguado says, yeah, he's kind of vinegar.
I don't know what that means.
I agree with that. Aaron Ortega says yes. Brian Autry says, what's up, guys? What happened?
What up, Bri?
What happened to my Panthers? What happened to
I
the
don't know.
Panthers?
They're beating the Flyers right now. Or are you talking about Carolina?
Was he talking about Carolina?
They're playing well. I mean, they got destroyed by a blitzkrieg and the Steelers at home.
They're
Yeah.
locked to make a wild card.
Yeah, I mean that Carolina or that Saints team is rolling though, absolutely rolling. I mean a historical year right now with Drew Brees. Roska says my Rams will be 10-1 this Monday. John Skill says Cam's overrated. Brian Autry says Cam is good. They're going back and forth, overrated. And then Tom says, "What's up, boys? Happy 1 year, my dudes. Thank you, Godfather. We appreciate
Thanks.
it."
What up, boss?
This is Daddy.
Man, I hope that YouTube chat. Yes.
I do have something for you.
Yes.
One moment here.
Yes.
Sweeps chimes in.
Sweepies!
Sweeps, hey, Uncle Sweeps.
So, first off, he says, what's up, boys? Happy anniversary.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
You?
Then he's not so happy. Okay.
Of
Okay.
course, none of us are.
He says Cox needs to give that money back. He then calls him a bum. Says, don't tell me about the double teams. Every single all-time great has been double teamed almost every play in their careers.
That's
Jerome
true.
Brown,
It's true.
Sapp, Randall, Randy, White, Cortez, Kennedy. The list goes on. And they all got to the quarterback at will.
Aaron Donald.
Him too.
Aaron Donald is tearing it up.
Sweeps, you ain't
Sweeps.
wrong, brother.
With the dynamite dropping.
Dynamite dropping. Those broadcasting classes
Sweeps,
are
if you're still
really starting to pay
Sweeps,
off.
if you're still listening, I finished Daredevil. Great series. Hope you finish it.
I'll let you know his response.
And Uncle Sweeps, by the way, Harper to the Cardinals.
No shot.
Let's go.
No shot.
Let's go.
Oh God. Here we go.
No shot.
But yeah, no, I mean he's right. I mean that's the argument that goes back. As soon as the double teams come up, who hasn't been double teamed? The greatest of all time at their positions.
Yeah. I definitely agree. My whole point was not to defend Cox, more of like, okay, who else? If Cox isn't producing, who's next? Before, like last year when he was getting double teamed, Timmy Jernigan stepped up, right? He stepped up and took advantage of just one-on-one versus his man. Now there's no one else taking advantage of the one.
Well, I go back to the Jim Schwartz defenses back in Detroit, where all you had Cliff Averill on the outside and you had Ndamukong Suh
on the inside.
In the inside. You always heard something from Suh.
Yeah.
Suh was always an issue. Now, whether it was a penalty, whether it was a suspension, whatever, but he was always an issue.
Yeah.
And you're telling me Suh didn't get double teamed? Because all we had was Averill on the outside.
Yeah.
You know, and those defenses kind of mirror what Jim is here. And so to my answer to the poll question, no. But he is on the hot seat just because obviously, you know, if you're giving up, you know, 17-point leads in a year for losses, you know, the year's just not going the way anybody expected it to. You know, so obviously there's a lot of people that end up getting put on the hot seat. But I always go back to, if you wanted a different defense, you should have hired a different defense coordinator. Like, this is the defense that you signed on for. This is the defense that Doug wanted because he brought Schwartz in. You know? And, yeah, is there a side of, yes, you have to adjust? Sure. But who's to say he's not adjusted just based off of who he's got right now? You know what I mean? Like
me, because I don't see it. What I'm saying is he's not. He's absolutely not. What was it? Who caught that slant?
It was
Remember
Alan
that
Hurns.
slant on third?
It was Alan Hurns because they went and played press coverage against Russell Douglas. And
Yeah,
Russell
one-on-one.
Russell Douglas
Here's
could
the other
not
thing.
get a hand
No,
on Alan Hurns.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not debating that. What I'm saying is, why in the world are they playing that defense? Why are they blitzing where the guys are one-on-one by themselves in a situation like that? Stop with the blitz. Like, if you're going to blitz, I don't want to see, like, everyone and their mother. My grandmother can look at the TV and say, they're blitzing. It's so obvious the way that he blitzes. Very obvious. We know when the blitzes are coming. So if we know, God knows the opposing offenses know. So why,
Well, I thought maybe
what's going?
He probably
why?
thought he could like trick Dak because Dak's not very bright.
Oh yeah, he's not very bright, but it doesn't take it doesn't take much to know that they're blitzing. So if they're blitzing, the way we blitz, we don't zone blitz. We very, very rarely zone blitz. Our blitzes are man blitzes. So if that happens, our corners are one-on-one by themselves.
Isn't that what we
That's
wanted
not,
though?
Not with this personnel.
Half the year we cry that we play too much off coverage and we don't blitz. Now we
It's
blitz
not-
and we play man
no,
coverage.
no, no.
Now I
didn't.
Why are we doing this ever again?
I never made that argument, and it's not about playing off or press. It's about leaving them one-on-one
Well, they're
by
quarterbacks.
themselves.
They're NFL quarterbacks.
No,
You should
but
be
there's
able
no-
to you should
there's
be able
no-
to handle Alan Hurns.
There are schemes you can do to help them out better
Sure.
than that. You call certain zones like a cover 2 that'll give you help over the top, or you call other stuff like a cover 6. Okay, like you can mix up coverages to give them more help in certain situations. If you are blitzing, the offense is going to be like, I'm going to throw a slant against Chandon Sullivan because he was on the practice squad last week.
While you're not wrong, why isn't it just man up? Like, dude, it's 3rd and 7. You should know as a cornerback, as a lifelong cornerback, you should know a slant's coming. Why can't you just man up and get the job
because
done?
they're not
why
that
is
good.
Why
they're
is that
not
end
that
up
good.
being-
So
right,
what do you?
So why does that go
what
back
are
to
you
the
gonna
coach
do?
though?
What do you?
Why
Because
does
he
that go
should
back
know
to why
what
does
his
it go to Howie
personnel
Roseman?
is.
Why does it go to Howie Roseman?
He has to know who his personnel is
So-
and know that not to call a blitz,
After all
an
these,
all-out
after
blitz.
all these injuries, though, he's left with what he's got, and he's trying to make something happen. And he just says, "Rasul, you want the playing time? You want the playing time? Man up here, 3rd and 7. Stop Alan Hurns." It's not like he's saying stop DeAndre Hopkins or Antonio Brown. It's Alan freaking Hurns.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that.
So man up.
But all game they haven't been able to stop anything. So you're not going to adjust? If you start off the game like that, I get it. But in the 4th quarter, when they haven't been able to stop anything, you're going to stay like that? You're going to call the same stuff and the same blitzes, not to disguise or trick anything? That's what's unacceptable. You have a game plan and scheme in place, that's fine. If it's not working, you change.
Anyway.
The whole argument was how are we sure that Schwartz is not changing? Because he's not. I'm seeing the same stuff over and over. We constantly get beat on blitzes. And Ryan, you agree with me. You called it with me weeks ago. We get beat on blitzes because we don't disguise and we don't have the personnel on the outside to stick man-to-man when we blitz. So why are we still doing that? Why? Because Schwartz is stubborn and he doesn't want to change
I don't disagree, but it's just what you got.
That's what you got.
That's what you got, so
then
you gotta
he
live with
needs
it.
to go. I get that you're saying that you signed up for a certain scheme,
And that,
and
I mean,
because
and that guy
because
did win
of his game
did
plan,
win a Super Bowl.
and that's fine. He that's the scheme. But when things don't go the way you want, you need a defensive coordinator that's going to change, not another Chip Kelly on the defensive side. Sorry, but your lack of ability to change and adjust is what kills you as a coach.
Real quick before you get to that, read Alex Steele's comments because I can't read the first one.
Jake the Snake, by the way, with a goal.
Nice.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I saw Dion's. Alex here says we do not want one-on-one, but we need to blitz more. Our defense is predictable. The biggest reason we cannot man up is speed and size. Our corners, for the most part, are slower and small. They either have one. Another comment came. Hold on. They either have one or the other. Slants and drags kill us. They
and
do.
then he says we don't disguise and we don't blitz enough, and then Dion just dropped something in too.
Even with Reggie White and or Clyde Simmons out there, Mike Golick made plays when he had to. Opposing teams take away the best player, then other guys have to step up. Exactly, and they're not. There's no one stepping up right now on the other side.
And Sweeps chimes in on this. He says, I hear you, Greg, but after the Super Bowl disgrace, he should have been fired. It's a joke when people say, well, we won, so he's good. And then he says they put a Band-Aid on a bullet hole, and now this season they're paying for it.
Oh, I don't disagree. And I haven't disagreed with the Jim Schwartz thing at all. I'm just saying, you're obviously not going to fire midseason because who's out there?
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that could go for both sides of the ball, even like with Grow.
I mean, I can't.
What?
I can't disagree. But
Who's out there, Ryan?
You can't fire a guy coming off of a Super Bowl season,
No,
regardless.
you can.
You can.
Who's out there? Because you smirked when I said who's out there.
Rex Ryan?
Yeah.
No.
I
Nope.
said.
But
I
see,
had said,
you guys didn't scoff at
Nope.
the
I said-
idea.
Nope.
Wait, who was
I'll
my-
scoff.
But
I said-
why would
scoff,
you leave that?
Scoff.
I
Nope.
said.
Like, John Gruden's the biggest idiot for leaving, like, the booth. Like, now that you got that cushy booth job, you work, like, 1 day a week, and you get paid buku bucks.
You asked me who's out there.
Yeah, but to come in mid-season, you know what I mean?
No, not
Listen,
mid-season.
man,
not
he's out
mid-season.
there.
That
just,
could be a name to entertain in the offseason.
I'll give
I
it
won't
to you.
entertain
Want me
it.
to say
but
Jeff Fisher?
No.
I said
I
my
don't want him
guy was
anywhere
Steve
near
Spags.
Carson.
I said Steve Spagnuolo. I said Spags would be one, not for right now,
Just
but
go
I'm
get
talking
Sean
about now.
McDermott once he's fired. Or Todd Bowles once he's fired.
A couple other names. To
Whatever
look at.
happened to the Raiders head coach? He's defensive-minded.
Jack Del Rio.
Yeah.
There's probably a reason why he doesn't have a job. Although,
As
but
a coordinator, though.
speaking of, Hugh Jackson just got hired by the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
As like an assistant to the head coach. Kind of like Dwight Schrute. He's like the assistant to the regional manager. But it's like how big of a sack does Marvin Lewis have? That like not only do I still have a job, I'm gonna go hire my boy Hugh because this guy's just as much of a train wreck as I am.
God.
Somebody's got to figure it out.
Dude, he must have like grassy knoll type of photos.
It's
though.
unbelievable.
He's
Like, I mean,
Unbelievable
he
that this
might
guy
have,
still has a job.
Like Apollo 11, like grassy knoll, like
Yeah.
some crazy type of
He knows some real shit.
videos or photos.
Frank says, he says, I like that Dion. Talk about Dion earlier. Oh, because Dion said Todd Bowles as well.
Yeah, I mean he's about to get fired.
And then
Yeah.
Alex Steele. Yeah,
No, go ahead. Sweeps chimes in.
go ahead. Alex Steele.
Oh, okay. Alex Steele says, here's a thought. Are our corners that bad, or is our linebackers leaving holes? Which linebacker can man anyone up?
D.
Hicks, maybe. Our linebacker core is
D,
terrible.
all the above.
Any team with a smart QB and offensive coordinator will throw under safeties and over linebackers. Like, this is another thing. Like, Hicks has played well I'd say about like 60% of the season, maybe 70. Bradham has been underachieving. We talked last year about how Bradham stepped in, and he, by all advanced metrics and everything, a lot of people consider him if not the best, like
You got that
one of
payday.
the best cover linebackers in the game, and rightfully so. He played very well. Where the hell has he been? Like, where the hell has Nigel Bradham been?
I got that payday checked out.
Sweeps continues to chime in, which we love.
Let's go.
I love
He
Sweeps.
says Greg just likes to be on his own island. He says he hates Doug but likes Jim Schwartz
him, he's-
when Jim's kids don't even like him.
I'm not
That's a
saying
fair assessment,
it's
Sweeps.
very fair.
It's a fair
it's
assessment.
100% the truth.
Greg's a nice island.
Although I'm not necessarily like I don't like Jim Schwartz. I'm just saying like
You don't hate him.
you're not gonna fire him halfway through a year
no,
right after the Super Bowl.
No, you're not gonna fire him through
know?
the season. I'm saying off season.
They have a built-in
Does
excuse.
he give you agita every week? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you throw your phone at I don't throw, but do you throw something? When you see the picket fence and you're like, what are you doing?
I just fall on the ground.
So speaking on the offensive side of the ball, give your evaluation of the offense this week.
Where's Golden Tate? We talked about that.
Well, so
Like,
okay, all right. So this came from Mike Groh. This was on Twitter from Zach Rosenblatt. He said that Mike Groh said Golden Tate's role going forward, we bought him here to play him a lot more. He went on to say that there was more intention to play him more, but once they started running the no huddle, it became harder to get him into the game.
no, bull crap.
Well,
Bull crap. Such
we
that,
went
that
no huddle,
is-
what, 2 series?
No, that is
he said in his first game that became harder to
And
utilize him.
if that was true, I'll give you that because you're right. Of learning an offense out of a book, a no huddle is tough to learn.
Yeah.
Right? But the game was never that far out of reach to where we went strictly
yeah,
no huddle.
yeah,
Right.
dude, I don't.
I think it was a
yeah.
series here or a series
Yeah.
there. Yes, we did go a little up tempo, and I think that is where we started to look like the resemblance of a football team and what we were last year. But I don't buy
I
that
just
as
here's my other gripe with the no Tate thing. I want Tate out there, but if you're not gonna have Tate out there, there's no way I'm not sticking with 12 personnel. You guys all know I never slammed the Matthews signing, and in no way am I saying Matthews should not be out there for certain points because he stepped up. This is not me making that argument. This is me making the
He's
argument.
played very well.
He's
in
played
his
very
role.
well, yes.
He's had a lot of big catches.
Here's my argument.
which means he's due for a lot of
Weeks oh,
Shut
God.
the hell up, Greg.
For the our offense is one of the best 12 personnel teams in the league. With Dallas Goedert out there, Zach Ertz out there, Aguilar, and Jeffrey. If you're not going to have Tate out there, why in the hell are you not in 12 personnel? Where the hell has Dallas but where the hell was Dallas Goedert on Sunday? Why was he not
don't disagree
playing
with
more?
making special
Like
team tackles.
Yeah,
what?
Pretty much. That's what
He
become.
was on. He was playing very, very well and getting better. Why did he not get more playing time? That does not make sense. Like better personnel decisions. The choosing of personnel on the field is highly questionable. And then also when you have Josh Adams consistently running toss plays, that is not ideal personnel for your play calling. It's just not. Josh Adams should be, like his long run, he should be running north and south, not east and west. Sorry, but that's just stupid personnel decisions. It really, really is. So I get it. If they want to live off that excuse that, we ran no huddle, so it was tough to get Tate out there, I get it. Fine. I don't believe it, but sure. But that doesn't excuse the reason why you didn't have Dallas Goedert out there anymore in 12 personnel.
I go back to like so many times previously, especially back in the Chip era, and even now with Doug over, with the rotation of running backs and how it's always on deuce, it's on deuce, it's on deuce.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I'm the same way. If I'm a head coach,
I don't know.
I gotta know who my running back is.
Yeah.
So if it's on deuce all the time, then deuce, you gotta do a better job. Because I used to look back and it'd be a 3rd and 5 and a big part of the game, and we got Kenyon Barner in the backfield. Is this really the time we gotta get this guy's his participation trophy? The guy gets his game check anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let him catch a punt. Let him run down on special teams.
Yep.
There's his participation trophy. He doesn't need to be in the game in 3rd and 5.
I agree. Yeah, I'm very confused with the rotation of running backs right
Yeah,
now.
I don't get it either. I really
Probably
don't
why
get it
Deuce
either.
doesn't have a better job.
Sweeps agrees. Rex Ryan.
Oof.
He agrees. Thank you, Sweeps.
I'm not on the Rex Ryan bandwagon. Not yet. We'll
Oh.
see. I'll think
Although
about it.
it would be,
Here we go.
it's
I
not
love it.
it's not a head coach.
No.
You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is.
All right. Well, goodbye.
Oh God, here we go. Here we go.
No, but like to even the Jeff Fisher type of thing.
Greg's a
like-
goddamn problem.
Like with Rex and Todd, all those other names that we assume are going to be available. You know what I mean? They're not coming in. You're right. To your point, they're not coming in as a head coach. They'd be coming in as a coordinator. Kind of like if we're gonna go Rex, we might as well throw Rob in there too.
Yeah.
Get that? We
No,
get that.
no, we're
No,
good.
no,
Let's
no,
not
no,
go there.
no.
Now you're really losing
He
me.
can stay in the booth.
What about
He can
Buddy?
stay over there.
What
about Buddy?
Dion said, I'd love to have Spags back in Philly coaching the D if when the end of days comes to Schwartz. Shaquan Jitters says
What up, Shaquan?
Brain D should run the defense.
Brian Dawkins.
Brian Dawkins should run the defense.
No thanks.
No,
Dave,
I-
the dude
he's a
could-
good hype man.
The dude could barely play defense himself. But I'm just saying it was all instinct.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of what he did was more instinct than actual.
I almost got up.
No.
I,
But then,
it's like,
but think
it
about
was like
that, right?
you're on a really big island there, buddy.
no, but thinking I mean, Dawkins was a lot of instinct in his day. But at the same time, he is such a pedestal in this city. Do you want him to ruin that by coming in and being a
Risking,
coach?
yeah.
No, for
and
sure.
then being the worst coach of all time?
Yeah.
I can see that.
That almost would be to me, it's like having Singletary back. Like you saw what kind of a head coach
coach
he
he
was.
was,
Was not a head coach.
Yeah.
You don't want to run that risk.
He's doing public speaking now. he's like a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that
a buddy
suits
just
him.
Got, a
That
buddy
suits
just
him.
got a photo with him at a
That
sales
suits him.
conference or something.
Yeah.
David Rosca said your Eagles need to win Sunday. Dion said, so wait, guys, question. Did losing Vinny Curry and Bo Allen really make that much of a difference?
Yes.
Yes.
Depth-wise, yeah, for sure.
It
Yes.
absolutely did, especially when you add, not only did you lose those two, but you lost Timmy Jernigan. And then, you thought you were signing Haloti Ngata, but he hasn't been the guy you thought he was.
No.
He's been exactly.
Do I think each of those guys, Allen and Curry, individually meant that much? No. But the collective group did.
Mike Parker said maybe Dawkins can do it. No, I don't think so.
No.
But Alex Deal says, what's your take on Jason Peters? To be honest, I think he should be done. He played against Dallas, but shit. I feel like every game he's getting I can't read the second half of the comment.
Every game, he's getting beat, hurt, or penalties. That O-line is playing horrible. When we played, not sure who, and ran big formation with 3 tight ends, we were dominating. Have you seen many 3 tight end formations lately? If so, are they passing out of the formation? We have athletic tight ends for that who's going to cover those 3. It's more it's what I was talking about. For one, I'll just the second part is it's not 3 tight end sets, it's 2 tight end sets. And that we have been dominating in, but for some reason we went away from that. And as far as Jason Peters goes, again, I've been saying for weeks, yes, he hasn't been playing as well as we known him to be. But do I think he's as bad as some people are making out to be? No. And I would rather have Peters there than Big V.
I agree.
All day, every day, I would rather have Peters back there getting hurt once a game than Big V.
I agree. Although I wouldn't be opposed to the GOAT finally getting his shot, Jordan Mailata.
Oh, let's go.
Maybe
Let's go.
week 16. Okay.
Let's roll,
Week
motherfuckers.
16,
Let's
let's
go.
We're like 2 snaps from that happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we
Where
are.
We
We
joke about
literally
it right
are.
now. Like, we're 2 snaps from that happening, whether
We
it's
literally
someone's
are.
ankle or whether it's someone's hamstring.
Running back.
Alex Steele said, I only mentioned tight end
fridge.
thing because it'll help out blocking a bit, chip blocks, etc.
yes.
Yeah, no,
No,
it's
Exactly.
He's
no,
absolutely
you're
spot on, man.
You know?
Yes.
It's just- I saw they used Wiz as a tight end in one, on
In the
one
red
play.
zone.
Yeah, in the red zone.
Yep.
Did they even draft? Is Perkins still dressing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Paul Perkins.
Yes.
I haven't seen him on the field, so I was.
Yes.
My thought was, are they even dressing 3 tight ends?
Yeah.
To where maybe they went 2 tight ends so they can dress another offensive lineman because we know how fragile they are right now.
Yeah.
Wisniewski came in for 2 plays after Aguilar. It looked like the separated shoulder.
Yeah. As he got drilled.
Perkins won't be playing. He won't be dressing for much longer because today Richard Rodgers was cleared for practice.
Okay.
And that's big because he can block.
Yeah.
So maybe that opens up the door
Dallas has done a good job.
well,
blocking.
Dallas has
that's
been
where he's
very
been.
Yeah.
That's why he's
making
had to
special teams
block because the offensive line sucks. So now if Richard Rodgers comes in, maybe that opens up the door for Goddard to actually go down the field.
Yeah.
But
No,
then-
I agree. I agree on Peters though. Like, is he the surefire Hall of Famer that he's been in his career? No. But is he by far the worst that we're dealing with right now?
No.
No, we got
No.
bigger issues.
People highlight. Okay, here's the thing. People highlight the sacks he's giving up, and the penetration, because they're not used to it.
Yeah.
We're not used to it. But then, guys, you're not focusing on the plays where he still does win. You're not focusing on the plays where you don't notice anything from his side because he actually is still blocking well. You just want to highlight the 1 or 2 plays where he gives up a bad sack because it's like, Jason Peters giving up a sack? Since when? That's horrible. Get him off the field. You want to react so bad to plays that are not normal for him, but you're not focusing on the plays that are actually good that he does.
Oh, absolutely.
And Alex Steele said, man, Big V looked good after he got the reps. I don't know.
No, I disagree. He did not.
Yes, we're all. Chase says, Eagles have a terrible roster, and the Eagles roster is garbage. Great drop-in.
Cool, wonderful.
The roster's
Nice,
not the
nice.
issue.
Now, the
At all.
coaching might be the issue. The roster is not.
Well,
And
the
I'm
roster
not-
is an issue
Well,
with
roster
because
is
of
an
the
issue.
injuries.
On the defensive side.
Because of the injuries.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can go on a lot of different sides.
Yeah.
No, but if you talk about it as
Sunny
a
side?
whole, if he's talking about injuries, sure. But if the roster's not the issue, that's my point.
Okay.
As far as availability, sure. But based off of that comment, I take it as, oh, your players suck. No, our players
Oh
are
no,
quite
no.
good.
Even with
I'll
our
give you
injuries,
That's why it's so
yeah,
frustrating.
even with our injuries, we still have a better roster than
Like,
Dallas.
this is
I'm
my
just saying
point.
I mean,
that.
you're still looking at. I mean, you're looking at guys like Zach Ertz who are having historic years. Carson Wentz, numbers-wise, is having a better year than he had last year at this many games
Oh, yeah,
through the
sure.
season. It's insane.
Yeah.
This is my point. I'll just keep it simple. This game, why is it that an offense that, just to name a few, that has Wentz, Tate, Alshon, Ertz, Corey Clement, who was the near MVP in the Super Bowl, if it wasn't for Nick Foles. I can continue. Oh,
'cause he sucks.
a tight end that you drafted in the second round. May I continue? Why is it that those guys, to name a few, only scored 20 points at home after a bye?
Yeah.
That's the issue.
because of the coaching.
Thank you. That's the offensive coordinator.
Coaching.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, Carson, that interception I think was to Vander Esch. Am I right
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
that?
Well, I
That was
wanted- I
bad.
wanted him bad.
That
We let
was
I
bad.
Leighton
wanted him
Vander Esch look like an
bad.
all-star.
That was awful.
Because he is. He's stud.
Yeah.
I'll give
I
him
wanted
time.
him so bad. In the
He's
first
he's
round,
he's
though.
We
decent.
leapfrogged to get the guy we're not using. Dallas
Vander
Cowboys.
the
Esch, Vander
first
Esch is
round.
pretty good. He's decent.
Right.
I mean, they took him though
Yeah.
when we leapfrogged.
And listen, I mean, Zach Ertz needs to know where the pylons are, where the first down markers are. You can't come a yard short. You can't pull a yard short on that play.
Well, okay, he,
Well, I
he
mean,
was at the sticks.
But at
I
the same
think
time,
it
why
was.
are we running just the stick route?
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like,
I
why
don't
is-
disagree with
why
you.
is it like, why are we going just to the sticks? Why aren't we going 3 yards out?
I agree with you.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
should
yeah.
be at least 2 yards beyond the
You know.
sticks in
Yeah.
case you get pulled back and you have to come back
Because
for a ball.
and there's just no shot at all. Because if the ball's off, if you're at the sticks, if the ball is off,
Yeah.
in any direction,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
no
yeah.
longer have a first down.
No, I agree,
and
I
that
agree.
was case in point right there.
Yeah.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
with
Or
a great defensive play.
how
Yeah.
about the play before where the play calling of on third and 2, you call a screenplay? Okay, well let's go beyond the play call. How about Corey Clement? How about you make a freaking man miss and get the first down?
Oh, he stinks.
He's hurt. He's playing hurt.
Cool, wonderful.
It's not an excuse. I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
He's playing hurt.
He could be playing hurt, but he's still not the guy, guys. And
It's more of a reason to be a little more patient and let some holes open up instead of just running in.
Yeah.
Oh, I
fucking
agree. Listen, it's
pylons
not an
there.
excuse. I'm just saying that's the reason why.
he's not the same. And so I was arguing with another person on Facebook again
Really?
about Clement,
Charles
and he
is
was
that
like,
guy.
he was saying,
Shocker.
no, it was he made a bad decision
You
by
don't
not,
say.
but by not.
Is water
He was
wet?
like Clement. His argument was that, oh no, Clement can still make guys miss. It's just that on that play he made a bad decision by not letting his blockers develop and waiting for them to set up. Well, no, duh. That just makes your argument worse because if he made a bad decision by not letting his blockers set up, that's still on Clement. then he should have waited. He should have let the blocks develop. So I just can't stand it with the Corey Clement truthers. They can't. They still overhype the guy.
Sweeps chimes in real quick. He's still on the defense. He said, no, Greg, talking about the defensive coordinator. Then he says, OMG, Greg, Rob Ryan was the worst coordinator maybe in the history of the NFL.
I'm with you, brother.
I was just going with the flow.
Oh, yeah.
With the flow?
With the family, yeah. And then he asked a question.
No,
real
the
good.
Hair flow. The hair flow.
Oh, I
it's
understand.
such great product in there.
Yeah. Reportedly, that's why
Fucking
he's not getting a
animal on his
college
head.
job because
Is
they
that
want him to cut his hair. I'm
Is
not
that
joking.
Head and Shoulders?
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of college job, is there a better national treasure than Mike Leach? By the way,
Oh, good Lord.
that dude is he's just a gem. Anyway, guys,
Sweeps asked maybe the best question we'll hear all day.
Of
Which
course.
was the biggest or bigger train wreck? Rob Ryan or DeMarcus Russell?
Jamarcus Russell.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be
Because
DeMarcus
Rob Ryan he wasn't completely a train wreck. Like, he had some good stuff. That's why he kept getting hired. But Jamarcus Russell.
I believe it was Jamarcus Russell who they gave him game film.
Yeah, it's
And
Jamarcus Russell.
they handed him blank tapes.
Blank tapes, yeah.
And sent him in, and he came out and said that he was watching
The Blitz.
Blitz packages.
Yep.
And that tells you everything that you need to know. Is that he reported
goes
back
back
that
to
the
that
tapes
scene
had.
in,
You guys want to know who
goes
the
back to that scene in Draft Day where they talk about Bo reading the playbook.
With
He's like,
money
oh
in
yeah, with the money in the end. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
great joke, guys. Like you only got to double down on the lie.
you know who the
Nobody
coach,
came to his birthday party.
you know who was on that staff when that
Watch
happened?
that every day,
I
by
think
the way.
the actual assistant that gave him those tapes. It was DiFilippo.
Nice. Well, that tells you a lot about DiFilippo, too. Smart man.
Yep.
Good first half of the show. Other side, over on the YouTube, we're going to briefly talk about NFC East, and we're going to real quick recap the Saints, preview the Saints game coming up because we want to get into some Sixers talk and no huddle and talk
We
about
have
maybe
to
some
preview the
Harper
Saints.
talk. We'll see. We have to, even if it's brief. So, anyway, first half of the show brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com, and Specialized Physical Therapy. Find them in Princeton, Burlington, and Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and also on the web at SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Also, our poll question brought to you by Scanzano Sports at ScanzanoSports.com. You going to stick around for the second half?
We'll see.
Greg might be back for the second half. We hope he will be. Until then, guys, if you joined us on Periscope, Instagram, and Facebook, thank you for joining us. Please join us. We'll have the link dropped for you guys to join us over on YouTube. So until then, we'll catch you guys in a few minutes. Welcome back, guys. The Birds of a Feather live on A2DRadio.com. We are on YouTube now. So if you made the jump, we appreciate it. If you made the jump from Facebook, Periscope, Instagram. Second half of the show, as usual, brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com. Also by Specialized Physical Therapy. You find them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton, New Jersey. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question this week. Should Jim Schwartz be fired? Yes, no, but he's on the hot seat. We've talked extensively about that in the first half. And if you would like to talk about it, we'll continue to talk about it. Is our chat up yet or no?
No, it's still chilling.
Still, all right. So if we get the chat up, you guys want to talk about it, we'll do that. We're going to go into NFC
Oh,
East.
it's up.
Is it?
Woo, it's up. Yay,
Excellent.
welcome in.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Thank you, YouTube.
Why is that
Chat
not
is
on my
up.
thing?
I just refreshed it, and chat is
I
up.
know, so maybe I'll have to do a little refresher. Chat is up. Great, guys. Good stuff. Well, we apologize for the technical difficulties the first half, but we are ready to talk. So I'm going to go right into what they said. Alexander Verrucci. When it start, Bryce Blackwell, Schwartz got to go. He will be. Rosca's in. What's up, Roto? What's the score of the Panthers-Flyers game?
Panthers just won 2-1.
2-1. Flyers
Low
made a push
Rosca.
at the end, man, but Bryce Blackwell says you can't fire Doug. That's dumb. We need a new defensive coordinator and coach and an offensive coordinator. And Bryce Blackwell says, yeah, it's up. He was letting us know that it is up. So we appreciate it, guys. We're going to talk NFC East. So as the picture is standing now, is Washington going to win this division? I think yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think at a default at this point.
Yeah.
They did us a favor while we were on the bye and lost to the Falcons, who then lost to the Browns.
Yep.
Like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Nick Chubb.
We
could have had Nick Chubb if we traded Foles.
We could have had a lot of people if we traded Foles.
Nick Chubb's doing really well on my fantasy team.
Heck
in both
yeah,
of
I
our
have
leagues,
him.
by the way, guys.
I have him.
I
I
told
picked
you-
him up in the ATD league.
I told you guys in our drafts this year, I was all in on Chubb. I actually traded him in my other league.
You got
and
a
I'm
Chubb
kinda-
for Chubb.
I'm regretting that
Chubby
deal.
for the Chubb.
I made it. I
did. What I thought. Even if they would have drafted if they would have been smart and drafted Saquon, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or somehow find a way to get Baker and Saquon.
Right.
I didn't think Hyde was going to stop him. And same thing with Chubb. And I'm not comparing Chubb to Saquon. I'm just saying, when you think you drafted your feature running back, whether it is Saquon, whether it is Nick Chubb, a guy like Carlos Hyde, who is as serviceable as a pro as any,
Yeah.
is not going to hold that spot for
Yeah,
very much. And then you were actually able to get something for Carlos Hyde.
Yeah.
Like, it was almost like, wait, is this the Browns that just, effectively flipped a free agent signing? Like, is this really happening?
Listen, man, coming into this year, Nick Chubb was my guy. I flagged him on our preview show this year, and I believed by week 10 he would have at least the number 2 job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't know if it was going to be Duke or if it was going to be Carlos, but I figured one of them would fall out of favor. It happened a lot earlier than I expected.
What's sad is even
Duke is
you see
playing
even,
well, though.
You see even
Yeah.
Duke's
playing well.
Duke's
Now he's getting
playing
more
well
touches.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he's not a Drek on my bench. Now he's
Well,
putting up
now-
points on my bench.
Now that you have a coach, that actually wants to use him because
Yeah.
he's talented. But I think you just have things for guys with the last name of Chubb, because you've been talking about Bradley Chubb on the Broncos.
I'm a
already.
Bradley Chubb guy too, man.
I think he
love
likes
that.
he likes the
He likes
Chubbers.
the Chubbies.
I love Chubbs. My bad. I like
you
you.
like Chubbs Peterson?
I like you.
You like Chubbs
Chubbs
Peterson?
Peterson? Yeah, why not?
It's all in the hips. It's all in the hips.
But yeah, man. So NFC East, I think obviously, clearly, to me, Washington is clearly going to win, and I actually had them pegged as possibly being, again, with Geis. I thought that they would
They're gonna be.
they would
second.
be
You know-
a
you know what's
number 2
funny?
team and
You
a
know,
formidable team to go up against the Eagles, and I didn't foresee this coming without having him, and they're only going to get better next year.
Yeah, it's funny. They before the game last week, so this time last week, was it Catherine Friegel, the chick from NFL Network that does the stats?
I think so, yeah,
Freeland
something like
or
that,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
In the NFC, the Eagles before this week had the 3rd best odds to make the playoffs. It was the Saints, the Rams. The Eagles came in at number 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before obviously this had all taken place. Coming off the Washington loss, we're on a bye. You had to think that we were supposed to take care of business at home off of a bye in a big game. So it was very strange to me last week to see a team sitting at 4-4, sitting there as the third best percentage to make the playoffs.
No, I think they dropped to 30% now.
And now they've dropped drastically, obviously, because of a loss. And it was a division loss.
Yeah.
A loss doesn't hurt.
If it's not,
It's a division loss that hurts. You know, now the ebb and flow of the game, they probably come out and blow out the Saints. You know, just because that's just the way the Eagles are.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
I'm actually gonna.
I don't think it's actually going to happen, but
No.
it wouldn't shock me.
No, I mean,
you know.
we said we don't really do predictions usually on the show because a lot of you guys are closer to game time and on your other shows that you guys do them.
we're on Tuesday.
But I'll tell you, I'm calling right now. I'm looking at like 52-17, and then we'll be lucky. If
That's
we,
it.
And the 17 will be because their defense is hit and miss at
Is the
times.
Saints
I think we'll
defense.
make 20, but I think it'll be like 69-20.
You just wanted to say 69 on air.
Yes, I did.
Well, we're talking
Oh,
Chubbs.
yeah.
We may as well.
Chubbs, right?
We may as well throw out 69.
Um,
too.
Now
But-
that we're on YouTube.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is actually go against the grain. I still say the Eagles squeak it out and win the division. I still think they could win the division with 8-8. That's how, and it's not complimenting the Eagles. It's more so saying that I don't believe in any of these NFC East teams. I think they're all dreck. So I think that in the end, when it comes down to the Eagles' remaining 4 division games, I think they very well could win all of them. And if they beat the Texans, you're still looking at what would that be? 9-7. So with 8-8 still, I still honestly believe that could 8-8, 9-7 wins the division. It's that bad of a year for the NFC East. So
it's
I think it's just
not a
that.
great division.
At all.
But
The problem is I just don't see, like, even this week against, you know, I don't see a team that I trust.
No, I don't.
In order to be able to make a
I
statement
don't-
like that. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
I
Like,
don't disagree. I just
like, if it was one side of the ball that was lights out, and then the other side was just like, if they could just put together a 2 or 3 game stretch, I could believe in them again. But I see misses on all aspects of the field.
you're not wrong, but what I will say to that is that I trust the other teams even less. That's why. Again, I'm not complimenting
disagree
the
that.
Eagles. I just don't think that any of the other teams are that good.
over on the YouTube, David Roska says Doug Peterson would not go. He's not the problem. Bryce agrees with him, and he says, I get trading Foles, but because of Wentz, I understand why they didn't. Plus, Nate Sudfeld as a quarterback, hell no. Studfeld.
All I'm going to quickly say on that is, yes, obviously hindsight's 20/20.
Right.
It is, yeah.
You knew what you had in Carson, though, in a sense of a worker. So you knew it wasn't going to be the long term, or the long game with that.
And a high second round pick.
So you give me a high
Running back.
second round,
Oh.
or a first and a third,
Yeah.
and you're telling me Nate Studfeld, as bad as he might be, could have gone 1-1 in those 2 games as well.
No, you're right.
That's all, you know.
With as bad as Nick Foles played.
Yeah.
This entire offense played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Lyons says, what's up, gents? Anyone think the Maple Leafs will win by 2 goals? Sure.
Degenerate. #degenerate talk. Let's go, Maple Leafs.
He says,
Who they
LA
got, Chris?
Kings. ASMR, he says, what's up, boys? What's
Who
up,
the Kings
ASMR?
got? The Maple Leafs.
You
You
have
got
to
it?
pull it
Yeah.
up.
I'll pull it up.
Thanks.
Bryce
Appreciate
says Foles would have gotten traded if Wentz played Game 1 preseason. Foles won't be here next year.
Well, he's a free
Chris
agent.
says there's still a 35% chance for the Eagles to win the East. 31-27 SSI.
Kings. Yeah, they scored 2 goals. Or they win by 2. Yes.
ASMR says, is this a Super Bowl hangover or was last year a fluke?
Hangover.
I think it's
Hangover.
think it's more of a hangover. I don't
Here
I
we
don't
go.
know I don't know that they're as good as we thought that they were.
Here we go.
If I say fluke, you gonna hate me?
Yes.
We won a Super Bowl. What's the matter?
No, that's
What's,
true.
what's the matter?
You know what I mean?
What?
Because we want to.
So wait, give me your Doug Peterson.
Well, no, it's just but it ties
logic.
in. It ties in. Like
So
Go ahead.
give us
So-
your Doug
Go ahead.
Peterson
I want to hear
logic.
it now. Yeah, I do want to hear it.
All
Now.
right.
So okay, so
Dion teed it up in the first half, and Dion, I still hope you're here. And I think he is. He's chiming in.
Yeah, if he's not, he'll be in a minute. He's always jumping
Well,
back in.
it goes back to that exact question. Was last year an anomaly, or is this year the anomaly? So I got roasted last year by saying the Eagles would go 7-9. I got roasted.
Yes, you did.
But
Rightfully so.
Yes.
this is the team that I thought they were last year.
Okay.
So coming off the rookie year, were they 7-9, right? Or would they finish year 1?
7-9.
7-9. So take out last year. Last year never, ever happens. Okay? Just like wipe it from your brain. That party on Broad Street, as glorious
So
as
I
it
just
was.
want to make this clear to the fam. We're clearing out of our minds
The
the Super Bowl.
You're right, absolutely.
The best year of our lives.
Yes,
it
take it
never
out.
happened.
Just stay with me. Just stay
I'm
with
The
me.
pinnacle.
trying.
Super Bowl never happened,
It never did.
guys,
It
in
never
this
did.
world.
But
I'm
I'm just
trying.
saying, if you take year 2 and it's this year, again, struggling, you're not improving the way you thought you should in the progression, we're talking heads here.
Right.
We're someone's on the hot seat, and it's not Jim Schwartz.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, last year did happen. Now come back to this year, and you see the same type of struggles that we had in year 1, right? And in year 1, it was we're going to build a culture. We're going to prove, we're going to prove to the locker room that we're going to do this, we're going to do Y, we're going to do X, we're going to do this, and all it was get to the locker room with a win, and it didn't happen, right? Why? What's to say that last year was such an anomaly and that everything went our way? Rightfully so. Like it was the pinnacle. We did it. So obviously you can never take it away, and I get the extension and all this. But why is this so far-fetched to truly sit there and say
Because
maybe Doug?
Because here's the thing. I get where you're going at, but there's a big part of why we're also struggling here is because of the Super Bowl run. There's a reason why there is a Super Bowl hangover. You play deep into February.
Don't disagree.
You play deep into February. You're playing longer than everyone else. Granted, the Patriots are still doing well, but they're the Patriots. They are the exception to the rule. Usually,
but to
usually,
your point,
wait.
then there is an
Wait,
exception.
Wait.
You know what I mean? There's a bar then that you have to. And if we're talking, if we're talking dynasty talk,
Which we've heard a lot of that on the station. I'll say that.
Why was Alshon?
and after last year, why not?
Yeah, no, you're
Why
absolutely
was
right.
Alshon out for so long? Because he had to wait to the end of the season to get surgery. There's one. Why were there so many players in the offseason that weren't there in the preseason, like Brandon Graham and stuff, took long to heal? Because we played until February. There are different things that happened because of that Super Bowl run that are clearly affecting the roster now. That's why you have a drag. Who's to say that? What if we had a mediocre 88-97 season last year? Who's to say that it would be the same thing this year?
Well,
maybe this year maybe it would have gone first year bad, last year 88-97. This year maybe we're on a run.
Could be, but
It could be. It's too many hypotheticals because there's too many. It's like a butterfly effect. You change one thing, now all of a sudden so many other factors change.
But
not only that though, there's a lot of factors that did change that are quote unquote exposing what could be or what couldn't be a very good head coach.
True.
You talk about
right, but
DiFilippo being gone, and then McDaniel's really screwing us and pulling out at the last minute, and now Reich's gone. No one wants to give the credit to DiFilippo and Reich, and because everyone wants to give the credit to Doug, right?
Okay.
So if that shit doesn't happen, or even if it does happen and McDaniels pulls out early, the Eagles can sit there and block one of those guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To where we don't lose both of them. Because now you're replacing your entire offensive coaching staff outside of Doug, who's calling the plays. And I'm not saying he doesn't have carte blanche over everything. But when you lose those two minds,
right,
and now we replace it with Groh, and we see the difference now.
But
early in the year, you could get by with, yes, it was a hangover. Yes, Carson's not in the game.
Right.
Now Carson's in, playing arguably his best of his career, probably on an 85% healed knee.
Yeah.
And what's the difference now?
But
now the coaches that he relied on, he fell back on, aren't there.
But
now what?
But now what I'm looking at is, to me, when I'm looking at consistently what the problem is that started from last year was the defense. And that's where Doug is the offensive mind. So even if you want to give Groh the pass and say Doug's probably still making the primarily the majority of the play calls, all right, I could see that. Give him another year, see what he can do. To me, the consistent issue that continues to go, that even stemmed from last year, is Jim Schwartz.
Okay.
And it's that defense, and it's that stubbornness, and it's continuing to put guys like Jalen Mills
Completely agree.
in positions
Don't
to where
disagree.
it's not successful. And that's where an offensive-minded coach like Doug has to rely more on the smarts of, or allow him to have a little more, or a lot more of the say. Now, to me, that's where I'm looking at. I'm putting more blame on Jim Schwartz than anybody this year.
I agree, Chrome. I agree.
And to me, a lot will be told with gut check time if when you finally show Jim Schwartz the door, or if he takes the door himself, whatever happens, and you bring another guy in. If you want to throw out a Spags or a Rex Ryan or anybody for a McDermott or whoever could be available, and you start seeing the same kind of trends going over and over and over, that's when you start looking at the head coach.
What trend this year, and I'm sorry, Rob,
No,
we'll
go
get to you in a
ahead.
second.
Yeah, go ahead.
What trend this year have you saw on the offensive side of the ball that you didn't see last year? A lot of pre-snap penalties,
Well, I
lack
would
of
agree with that.
discipline.
No, I would agree
Where
with
does
that.
that start? You know what I mean? Like,
That's
that
the coaching.
stuff,
That's
that's
the
the coaching. You know what I mean?
It
and
is.
if Doug's going to be calling the plays and Doug's your de facto offensive
It
coordinator.
is, but I'm looking at games and what in the end at the end is costing us more this season,
But
not the
stats-
offense.
But here's the
it's
thing.
the defense.
If you look stats-wise,
It's the failures
stats
on the
defense
defensive end.
are the same.
Yes.
No. The
The stats are the
No,
same
I don't-
defensively.
I don't
Yes.
care. Okay.
So what is the
no, no,
difference?
no.
We don't
Here's-
score enough
here's the
points
defense.
right now.
Here's the thing. Here's the
We
difference.
don't score enough points right
Here's
now.
the defense. You can give me stats all you want. Watch the damn game and
I
tell
do
me.
watch the game. I do
tell
watch
me-
the game.
Tell me that this is
You
the same.
scored 35 points.
Tell
you
me
win
this
week?
is the same defense as last year, because it's not. It's not. What did we just talk to? What were we talking about in the first half that I brought up last year? The defense was getting off the field in 3rd and long, 4th and long, making plays, forcing turnovers. We're not doing any of that. I'm sorry, but as a defense, those are two pivotal points when you play
that's a
defense.
huge
I don't
difference.
care
You're
what the stats are on
Well,
points
then-
per game,
Well, that- I mean,
yards
that-
per game.
Okay.
I go beyond what the stats say, and I look
Yeah,
at
but
on the
what- yeah,
field.
but it's big
you
plays.
are not.
When you look at big
when
plays
you
at
look at
crucial times, that's where it's
big-
the exception
exact-
to the
that's the-
stats. And they're
when
not
you-
creating big plays. The turnovers that you would see from Brandon Graham with
or
strip
Malcolm
sacks
Jenkins
and all that
or
stuff.
anything.
None of that's
happening.
happening this year.
You're not getting.
They're not even
sacks.
tackling guys
They're
this
not.
year.
It's not happening on the offense of the ball either.
Plays,
Here-
it's the big plays of the defense that aren't there, the takeaways, and constantly staying on the field when they need to get off. That is the difference.
And I'm not saying
that is the difference.
I'm not saying that the offense hasn't gone down a notch this year, because it has.
It has.
But they've done enough to keep them in games. And when it comes down to it, there's not the defensive stops, the defensive schemes in the fourth quarter are not working this season whatsoever. So that, to me, falls on the defense. I'm not saying it's the same explosive offense that they had last year. But when
They
it
have
comes down to it,
success.
and this is where you can tell me the stats and this and that, but when I'm watching, when somebody needs to step up on the defense and make a big play,
No one does.
Nobody's doing it whatsoever. That's where, to me, that's where it falls on Schwartz.
Context.
I'm not saying that Doug
And then
needs to get
on top
another
of
look.
Schwartz?
And I said I get what you're saying with
Go ahead,
that,
Ryan.
but Doug's not an offense. Doug's not at the defensive mind, which is why they bought in an experienced guy to begin with, like Schwartz, to help to compensate for that. Now, if they bring in another guy,
too, and you let him get out.
and now if they bring in another guy, and then whoever, Rex Ryan, whoever, and you see the same thing, that's when you really got to look at the head coach. I'm not saying he shouldn't get looked at, but to sit here, I'm not by any means going to sit here and point the finger at Doug Peterson yet.
Doug is to blame for a lot of this. I don't want to make it seem like, oh, Doug's perfect, he's fine. No, I just in the first half, I just got finished calling him out for numerous things. My point is that I'm with Chrome in the fact that when it comes down to it, the most egregious part of why we are a mediocre 4-5 team right now is the defense and the stubbornness of Jim Schwartz. That is the glaring aspect and factor of why we are at where we're at. And for weeks now, people have been throwing out the stats of the defense is a top 10 defense. No, I need context. I don't care about stats. I need context. And I don't see takeaways. I don't see game-changing plays from the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't care about stats, but I agree. It comes down to where the big plays, the game-changing plays, and you're not getting any of that.
That's what the defense was doing that
Chris
last
Long.
year.
Last year, he's almost a non-factor.
Oh, he is.
And that's one of your biggest players who created how many big plays last year? Nigel Bradham. Same thing. These guys, and listen, you're missing guys like Rodney McLeod. There's definitely guys on this defense that have been huge losses. You get Timmy Jernigan back, that's another guy. Then maybe you get a second look at Schwartz, and now if the defense starts picking up and the offense still gets lackluster by the end of the year, that's where I might change my tune a bit. But seeing what I've seen this point in the season, it's the defense that has been more costly than the offense has. The offense has done enough in more situations than not enough to win football games. It's the defense that has done.
Situational football.
They average 18 points a game. How is that enough?
Because of situational football. When you're in the fourth quarter, have a 17-point lead, the defense has to hold that lead.
I'll give you that.
When
Twice.
you're in,
But why
when you're
don't
in
you also
Tennessee,
score?
when you're in Tennessee and you have a lead, you don't give up the lead. When
You
you're in
didn't score
overtime
points.
and
You
you
didn't score
have
points.
constant fourth
You didn't score
downs,
points.
especially 4th and 15,
Yeah, but
you
you
don't
can't-
give up the fourth
yeah, but you
down.
can't-
You didn't score
do it.
When
points.
you're in the same
Yeah, but you
conference
can't do that
as
in
the
the
New
fourth
Orleans
quarter.
Saints and the
You
Los
didn't score any
Angeles
points.
Rams, you got to
Situation-
score more than 17 points.
Situational football has to call for the defense to step up when they need to. I'm not absolving the offense. They made mistakes, and I called them out constantly. But in those games, the offense, the Panthers game, the offense gave you 17 points in the fourth quarter. 17 points!
and then
A 17-point
you
lead
stopped
in
playing
the fourth
offense.
quarter.
And
You
you
stopped
stopped
playing
playing
defense.
Okay. Here's the all right.
Oh my
Real
God.
quick. There's two things to this. First off, Chuck, for you to say that you don't care about stats, that's one of the worst things I've ever heard you say come out of your mouth.
I've always said that. I've always said, don't give me just stats. Give me beyond stats. Give me
That's not what you said.
context.
That's not what you said. That's not what you said at all. You said I don't care about stats.
I care about what the stats, what the meaning behind the stats.
So you care
can
about
throw
stats.
I care about the context of the stats.
That's fine. I'm just going based off of I
Oh
do
God!
not care
All right,
about
nitpicking.
stats.
Go. What was your damn point, Ryan?
Well, that was number one. That was number
Go.
one.
Go.
I didn't say it. You said it.
Go. Go ahead. Go ahead.
My second point is you can't. First off, this entire season compared to last season, the margin of it completely explains how fine the line is between winning and losing in the NFL.
Sure,
We
I
can
agree
all
with that.
agree,
Absolutely. I
agree
no
with that.
matter the little
Absolutely.
intricate parts of every game, we have not been blown out in any game. We have been in it at the end of games. Even the Minnesota game, we had a chance to win. So every game that we have lost, especially that we have won, it's all been close, except for the Giants game, which really wasn't a game because we really weren't playing an NFL team. So, with that being said, it expands beyond one person, one player, one coach. It is the perfect example of this. Last season, what were we doing that we weren't doing this season? This season, last season, we were causing turnovers, and we were scoring in the red zone, and we were keeping the opponents out of the end zone while in the red zone.
Right.
What are we doing this year? We're not causing turnovers. We're actually turning the ball over more. Therefore, we're losing the turnover battle, which is going to put us behind the margin early in games because most of our turnovers, given the stats, is early in the games, which puts us back, which sets a tone, which makes you have to try harder, which this offense isn't built to do. Also, we all thought this red zone offense was going to get better. It's gotten worse. Also, our red zone defense has gotten worse. Don't give me the Falcons game. Don't give me the Colts game. Let's look, further in the season. Titans game, not very good in the red zone. Clearly at the end of the game. Panthers, nope. Dallas, nope. Minnesota, nope. You understand what I'm saying? It expands beyond Doug Peterson, who has not been perfect. It expands beyond Jim Schwartz, who doesn't know what he's doing. And it expands beyond every individual player. This is the perfect example of why every player, coach, and everyone around the NFL says it's so hard to win.
No, and listen, I think the one thing that we don't talk enough about that has to be a fair criticism is this is now the time where Carson needs to show that he's an elite quarterback. He needs to make those plays at the end of games as well, and we haven't seen him step up. The yards have been there, and all that stuff's been there.
Yeah, I'm not ready to crush him yet.
No, not crush it. This is not a crush. But it's fair to mention that this is a time where Carson
especially if we're
hasn't always been consistent enough yet, which he'll get there. We know he will.
You're to your point.
And
though,
some of the onus in some
right.
of these games has to be some of his decision making at the end of the game.
And compare him to the Aaron Rodgers and the Tom Brady's.
We're not there yet.
And stats wise, yeah, let's go. But Aaron Rodgers wins that game.
This is my last point.
Aaron Rodgers gets a touchdown. And
he's got to learn.
And I'm not saying that Carson's never going to get there.
No, he'll get there.
He might get there next week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It might just become like, all right, because we all know he is a worker. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys that you're going to build around.
Right.
The one thing I think we can all agree right now is the one issue we don't have is at quarterback.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
The one issue we don't have is at quarterback. Now, they're going to get the love when we win. They're going to get the blame when we lose. Mm-hmm. Especially when they potentially are the ones with their balls on the hand, with their hands on the balls.
Every play, yeah.
At least at the end, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's going to get a little bit of flack. But is he the issue? No, not even close.
Chris dropped in a couple of things here for us, too, on the chat. Chris Lyons, he said the offense averages more yards per game this year. Finishing is not there.
Yep, exactly. Mm-hmm. Red zone.
And that's fair. And I agree with what you said, Ryan. That on both ends, that is a major issue for the offense.
That's the identity of this season.
That has been a major issue.
Ends. Yep.
He says it's simple. You have to finish. He said 2017 they averaged 377.9 yards per game. 2018 372.9.
Don't give me stats.
So close.
He
said field position is flipped by 23 yards. On top of that, the Birds don't get teams in third and longs, and when they do, they fail.
They fail.
I mean, that's fair.
In the end, I think what it comes down to is I think that at least we can all just agree that it's not just one side of the ball.
Oh.
It's not just one side of the ball. It's both sides of the ball that have very egregious issues, and they're not working in tandem at the right time situationally. That's a big fault. When you don't have one complementing the other at the same time, it's not going to work out well. And all those critical situational stuff that we talk about with red zone percentage, with turnovers and takeaways, with explosive plays, neither side of the ball is delivering at that end. That's just the truth.
So around the league, Le'Veon Bell didn't report, guys. Surprise.
Thank God.
Fantasy.
Yeah. Thank God for James Conner.
Was that a great switch by me right before the draft? 5 minutes before it started, I switched my pick from Bell to Gurley.
You did do that. I was on that panel of opinions.
I chimed in. I said, Greg, I don't know who to take, man. I'm leaning Gurley.
I went Bell.
He went Bell. And I almost went with it, and last minute I switched.
Luckily,
I went all in on Gurley this year.
In two of the leagues where the one league I drafted Bell. I made sure I got Connor, and then in another league the ATD league, I didn't draft Bell, but I swooped Connor up immediately because I was like, how does the Bell owner not have Connor?
Yeah.
So I took advantage, and now I'm riding high.
I didn't draft Bell, but I traded for him, which I still won that trade, by the way. You know what trade I'm talking about.
I know what you do.
I was offering a lot of people in other leagues like legit offers for Bell this last week, and then I was offering Connor out there for like a top tier wide receiver because I'm like, as soon as this happens, as soon as he comes back, Connor's going away.
Yeah.
Another drop in real quick that Chris did put in, which is a fair something to consider. The Pats didn't make the playoffs after their first Super Bowl.
That's what I brought up earlier.
So
they struggled after the first Super Bowl.
Yeah. So Le'Veon not reporting, no surprise. I mean, he has no reason to report now that they kind of dropped where his percentage still would go up, or there was something about the financials that it's not going to affect him next year.
Yeah, there's so many fine line stuff that just came out.
I know, it's
last
crazy.
week. We're just like,
you
guys didn't see this.
There was
earlier?
no reason for him to show up.
Yeah, there's no reason
absolutely.
to show up. Yeah, So I mean, I'm on the minority when it comes to the A2D group, where I'm just like, I don't mind him getting his money because the running back position, in and of itself, before the whole Gurley thing, I was like, running backs need to do what they need to do to get their money.
I'm just not a fan of the franchise tag because in the sport of football, you're not all contracts are guaranteed.
Yeah.
Or only portions of them are guaranteed.
Yeah.
And there's such a short shelf life in this league. And especially when you talk about the long-term injuries and things that these guys deal with, they don't have to be in the league long for a lot of this stuff to happen.
You know what's funny? I was actually, totally off topic. And I'm with you. Go get your money, but also show up for your teammates. You know what I mean? But also show up for your teammates, even if it's at the 11th hour.
But you know what?
Like, I understand not week one.
But
you know what I mean? But show up, you know.
But my issue is they made it clear that he's not going to be back.
You're absolutely right.
And we're just going to run him into the ground. So why am I going to show up? You're basically telling me you're going to come back. Yeah, I'll give you the money this year. You have no guarantee next year. Because for me, he's going to get the money one way or the other.
They could have transition tagged him anyway again next year.
Right. Like
tied him up again.
Yeah.
One way or the other, he's going to get his money. But to me, it is about a guy who's looking for some guarantee and some stability, and I get that. And that's why I've never loved the franchise tag because I don't believe in that.
Down 76 and on the other side of the state that I'll gladly take you next year.
Yeah.
God.
Absolutely.
Here we go
It's going to be a
again.
Jet or a Colt.
Yeah.
That's where he's going.
Give me Tevin Coleman for cheaper than Le'Veon Bell.
Give Andrew Luck another weapon. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Or give some help to Darnold.
With Frank
He
Reich?
already has.
Oh,
my
imagine
God.
that.
Oh my God.
Oh, look at that.
He's already
Oh,
got
look at
two
that circle
good
back.
running backs.
Oh, circle that one back. Hashtag.
No, my stance is always, and Chucks, you and I have talked about this before. I agree the running back should get paid, absolutely, because we've talked about the position for weeks on end. But the difference between him and a lot of other running backs, number one, he's very good. Top 5, top 3, easily. It's not a debate. But I'm fine with the Pittsburgh Steelers not giving Le'Veon or putting out any guaranteed money to someone who's never given any guarantees back. He's been suspended twice in back-to-back years for obviously the drug.
That.
And then also, he's had 2 major injuries in his career that have been season-ending.
It's only a little grass.
Well, listen.
No, and I get it. Again, and I
I understand.
And I think just kind
I
of
didn't know you were talking about it.
and I
was
totally
like,
agree with you. It's just publicizing that you're essentially just going to run this guy into the ground for the year. Doesn't do them any favors.
The entire situation on both ends was disastrous.
Handled
the
poorly.
agent is an idiot, and then the Steelers organization did not handle it well.
Everybody was handled out. Yeah, it was handled poorly all around.
And this is where it gets you. This is where it gets you right here.
Anything else you want to do about around the league before we get to Sixers basketball?
The game that was going to be in Mexico City has been moved.
Yeah, I saw that.
The Monday night game, Kansas City versus L.A. will be played in L.A.
Yeah.
And then I guess apparently to accommodate, obviously, the lack of, travel and fans, I think the Rams are just going to donate all tickets.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, something like that. I saw on the ticker. But, yeah, that game was moved from Stadium Azteca.
Yeah.
Stadium.
Did they give a reason why that was moved?
They said the playing surface was just
field conditions are horrendous.
Wow.
Like there was actually
all the time to get that situated, and it was never situated.
There was actually a lot. It only came to a halt because they've known about it, but only a couple players started coming out and saying, "I might not play." Because what's the point for me to play?
Yeah, for sure.
With this field condition.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Apparently, that's the same thing with Wembley, which is crazy to me. But I've heard not only when the Eagles played, but in years past that field is just awful to play football in.
Because
it's a different type of grass.
It's a different type of grass,
and
keep in mind they play soccer there.
Yeah.
Keep in mind who is on. Who the type of athletes you have on a soccer team.
Yeah, it's a lot
You have
different.
150-pound players as opposed to 300-something pound
I
players.
understand.
The grass is different, so you have you have these guys, in different cleats, different body types that, the grass is just not there. I think I don't know if it was this year or last year where the game after. No, it was this year. The game after they a week after they had a soccer match. And like the grass was just in horrendous
Oh, that
condition after the Eagles Jaguars game.
Yeah.
Like it was totally beat up because the Eagles Jaguars had just played their game the week before.
Same deal. I heard a report that the reason why it was so bad during Eagles Jags because the grass still hadn't recovered from Titans Chargers 2 weeks beforehand.
Could be, yeah.
So
It's crazy. It's not tailored. It's not tailored for football. For our football.
It's American football.
ASMR
American
asked,
football.
does anybody else feel like the acquisition of Jimmy Butler made this week a little bit easier? I would agree, yes. Let's transition into it. How do
Go
we
ahead.
feel about the Jimmy Butler? So the Sixers, I almost said the Eagles. The Sixers finally have acquired what they believe is going to be that piece, that number 3 guy to create their big 3 in Jimmy Butler to pair with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Give up Dario Saric. They get him and Justin Patton for Dario Saric, Rocco, and a 2022 second-round pick.
Don't forget a really, really big chip. Jared Bayless.
Oh, that's right, and Jared Bayless.
That was a deal sealer.
he's getting
well, that
bought
was
out.
huge. You got rid of
huge.
Well, yeah.
I didn't say
listen,
a big chip other than you had. That was a big chip.
That was what
That was
closed
what-
that gap for the
that
contracts.
was what initially thought I didn't like the deal at first. Because at first when it wasn't reported, I'm like, you give up nothing for Jimmy Butler, and then you started hearing, oh, Jared Bayless is in there, and I'm like, oh, hold on a second, maybe I would have rather given up a first-round pick than Jared Bayless, because that expiring contract is such a chip in the NBA.
Yeah, but
You
they
know what I
needed
mean?
that to close that gap.
No, you did, but it's like you look at you look at that Jared Bayless money, and you look at Markelle Fultz right now.
Right.
What is his value right now if you were to trade him?
Well, to me, that
Right.
tells me
So
where
then-
his value is at. That it wasn't mandatory, because we were talking for weeks that it might cause Dario, Rocco, and Fultz to pull a deal for a player like this off.
Well,
Which I would have absolutely been a
But
part
to
of.
my point is, you could have packaged Markelle with that $7 million
Sure.
and made that look a little better. You know what I mean? If that's what they going to do down the road.
Now, I mean, obviously they're going to have estimated $21 million in cap space next year if they can clear Markel's $9 million plus. That'll get you up to about 30, a little over 30. I think they need to get to 31 or 32 to be for a max, because I think they're saying that the 32 will be the benchmark for max players next year. So, who were you saying move, or was it you?
yeah, it was me. I have a deal in place now. I'll just say for fill in the blank player.
Sure.
Okay. You trade Fultz, the 2021 pick, and Mike Muscala. Right there.
Muscala was the
That's
other one, right.
$14 million off your
So
cap.
that's essentially $35 million that you'll have to spend next year.
That's what they're going to do. I'm just
Now,
telling you.
I don't know that, because if they go and acquire Kyle Korver, that's another $7.5 million that you have for another year next year, which is going to bring you down.
What's J.R. Smith's contract? Because if it's less, no, I don't like it, but I'm just telling you, both of them are going to get bought
What's
out.
Courtney Lee's contract right now?
I have no idea.
Because I mean, that's
I mean,
another
these
name
names-
that that's
these names
another
are
name
fun.
I've heard linked to the Sixers.
There's 4 or 5 names in my opinion, and not all of them I like. Korver, obviously J.R.
I like Korver. I just don't like that there's another year attached to him for next
Mhm.
year. That's a problem for me.
Vince Carter, because he's going to get bought out later in the season. I mean, he's going to play 10 minutes a game, but listen, he can.
It's depth. I'd rather have him than a Carmelo Anthony.
Well, that's the fourth. That's
Yeah.
the fourth name.
It's a little discouraging me that they're kicking the tires on the Carmelo Anthony car.
Can I? We all 3 of you guys wouldn't want Carmelo here, correct?
No, please, God, no.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, I thought you were about to say yes, you would.
No,
I do not want him.
I don't need 2 volatile personalities in my locker room. We can get by with 1.
I'll just say this: I don't
CTO.
want it either, but I could argue that it's very low risk because if he comes here and he's a disaster, you can cut him.
I mean, and
And
You know what I mean?
I'll give you low risk too, because at the same time, even with Jimmy Butler, he has the option to opt out. So he's technically signed through next year. He's got the option. So even with him, he comes in and he blows it up. I would sure hope you decline your option, and then we take Rocco's money and Dario's money, and now we're back in the same spot where we're at. We're still star hunting. That's at first I wasn't didn't hate, again, Golden Tate thing. I didn't hate the deal.
Right.
At first, I thought we didn't give up anything, so I'm like, sweet, let's go. And then obviously you're like, all right, now this is Jimmy Butler's third team in 4 or 5 years. There's something to all these rumors. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Having the ability to opt out after this year helps a little bit because you can just, hey, if he blows it up, he blows it up, and then see you later. Do I think he's a max player or a super max player? God, no. But is this where we're at the Sixers? Because as an ownership group and a leadership group, you came out and you said, we're going to star hunt, and then you went over, and now you went after the guy that is maybe a star.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
15 player.
I mean, he's averaging, 18 a game? You know what I mean? That's not star power to me. You know what I mean? It's not Kawhi. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you want star power? You want to go after a guy that's got a little bit of baggage? Give me Kawhi.
No, but I'm looking at him. He's,
over Jimmy. Flip that around.
But he's second.
Is your team better right now than you were 2 days ago? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're looking at a guy at second-team defense, 4-time All-Star, and a way better two-way player than anything that you gave up at this
Sure.
point.
I don't disagree at all.
And a guy who can shoot the basketball. And I believe what I heard, and I don't remember the exact percentage, is that he might lead the league in the last 2 years of catch and shoot three-pointers, which is huge for this team. And I liked what he said in his press conference, though, where they talked about him, or they asked him about, what he's going to bring in this and that.
I
he said,
he likes
listen,
country music.
I know, that was great, right?
I like that.
Yeah.
And drives a caravan.
And he drives a minivan. And
But-
he was on an episode of Tank, too. The fish day. The
But
fish store.
but what I really enjoyed was, he talked about, listen, it's a simple game. If you get the ball, if you have a chance to shoot and you're open, you shoot. If you have a chance to drive the lane, you drive the lane. If you're not, pass it to the open guy. He likes how the ball can move in this offense. He's not worried about that. But I loved how he added in, though, if I'm open and JJ's open out on the three-point line, I hope to God they pass the ball to JJ because that's the guy. That's his role, and he's going to be more effective.
You say that at presser, you know what I mean?
But listen, I think that this guy is going to come here, and listen, it's now, or there's only so many bridges that you can burn. I believe that this guy's going to come here and understand that JoJo's a generational
J.R. Smith
talent.
has proven that there isn't so many bridges
J.R.
you can burn.
J.R. Smith's a whole different thing. He's not a max player.
As I started thinking more about it, though, I
love what he's going to bring on the two-way.
I not only that, but now end of game, you got a guy that can create his own shot.
Yes.
You finally have a guy. I hope now our starting lineup gets back to Ben, JJ, Jimmy, probably Wilson.
Wilson's going to be
and Joe.
before.
Now you have a backcourt that can shoot the ball.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
well,
now
and that's
end
the
of
problem.
game, when Jimmy and Ben and Joe are doing your pick and roll, you got just maybe the greatest shooter sitting outside on a wing, just waiting for the shot as the third option.
It's gonna
because now you come off the pick and roll. You don't have JJ running circles around Joe waiting for the spot. Now you have Jimmy coming off looking to attack. Now you have Joe rolling, and you have JJ sitting in the corner waiting to pop and fire.
And I think it's going to create if Markelle Fultz is ever going to become anything, this is going to create the opportunity because you can't have Markelle and Ben Simmons on the court at the same time and two guys who are your guards standing out there and can't take a shot. It minimizes how much space you have on the offensive end.
You can't run a true NBA offense with it.
No, and all it does is create it makes it easier on the defense to clog up the middle to where you have, unless if JJ's not open, you send one guy at JJ and block up the middle, you're done.
Yeah.
So this is going to create an opportunity now for Markelle to come off of the bench, create his own shots, create his own plays, not have that impede with what Ben does. And then, again, you have Jimmy Butler, who we need a guy, by the way, who can close out, who can hit those shots down clutch other than JJ.
Yeah.
So now this just gives us more options to do that, to close out games.
A couple things with this. Number one, I think the whole Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz thing, first off, Brett Brown has not been perfect. I'm not trying to say he has by any means, but I think a lot of the reason why he's getting criticism, it's because people were judging his style based off of that lineup with Markelle and Ben on there.
Yeah.
And the thing I always tell people is don't judge Brett Brown off of a 5-man rotation that's not supposed to be. That's not the offense.
Right.
That is not what that is not his offense. That is just 2 guys that they're just trying to find and just beg to be able to play together.
Yeah.
We won't have that problem anymore, I promise you. The second thing is, and this is part of my no huddle, did you guys notice something interesting that Elton Brand had said based off of the final roster spot that's open? Did you catch something that he said?
That they're going to be patient about it, that despite what the rumors are out there, they're looking at their options and they're not going to rush to anything.
But what else did he say? He said something very interesting.
So you think we can be very dynamic with that or something along those lines?
He made it very, very clear that they weren't going to settle on a role player, that they feel that they can get a, quote, big-time difference maker for that final spot.
Yeah, I did hear
So
that.
where's your head at?
Well, it's all over the place like usual, but my whole thing is that doesn't fit the whole category of Kyle Korver or J.R. Smith or Vince Carter.
And thank God.
And this is what led me to bring up that thing from earlier where Markelle, first-round pick, Muscala, there's guys out there. We just have to figure out who's available. And like I brought up, and I'm not a huge fan of it, but given the controversy right now, given that I don't believe he's going to be there for much longer in the next couple seasons, I wouldn't be shocked if they throw that to Draymond Green.
I don't want him.
But let me just offer this. Now, his offensive side of the ball.
You're
no,
talking about
I don't want him.
explosive personalities.
No, but let me
I
just
don't want him.
explosive
I would
defense.
kick him.
I'm not promoting it. I'm not eating the whole.
We understand
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
If you put Draymond next to Joel, nobody's scoring ever.
I'd punch him.
You understand? Forget people panicking. Oh,
Now
we lost
have-
Rocco. We
now
lost
we have
him.
another point forward.
You know what I mean?
Now you have another point forward, though.
We can afford to throw Markelle Fultz out there and deal with his shooting yips because they're only putting up 60 on us.
Can we?
You understand? Well, no. I mean, I wouldn't watch, but I mean, stat wise, you could.
give me stats.
TTP chimed in. What's up, TTP?
What's up, TTP?
He says,
TTP!
he says, Jimmy opens up the whole floor and takes pressure off of every player on this team.
Thank you.
Brodo thinks we're trading Fultz of first and Muscala for Beal.
No, it's not enough. I mean,
Done. Let's go.
TTP. I mean, you know me so well. I mean, I would love that.
I mean, that would, jeez.
ASMR says, Brodo, he says, I love your thinking, Brodo, but he says he thinks that we have our star. I guess at least as far as this year goes. Now, I bought
Brown
up.
disagrees.
Now, I bought up the
Brett
possibility.
Brown disagrees.
Now, what I brought up is that Dario's dad put out this tweet about how emotional the goodbye was. He's a free agent next year. Now, they could move contracts and sign another max player, or if they decide this year to bring a Kyle Korver in to improve your shooting, that opens up the opportunity. They should still have enough money because Dario's going to get money, but he's not going to be a max guy next year.
Right.
That they could conceivably bring Dario back to play the 4 with that lineup.
Oh, you absolutely could. There's no doubt about it. But I think once Minnesota gets a hold of Dario, they're going to fall in love with him just like we did.
Oh, I mean,
Dario's never coming back.
Like Dario, he was expendable as you could get, obviously. But I think he's going to be one of those guys that when you look down, whether this team ever truly gets over the hump, you know what I mean? You're going to look back at a guy like Dario and you're like, man, we missed that versatility. You know what I mean?
TTP says, what if they got AD or KD in the offseason? Philly isn't that far from Washington, LMAO.
Davis.
I'm TTP, keep talking, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. AD's going to LA. Durant and we had a long debate about this pre-show. I don't think KD leaves, but I will say really quick, and I brought this up to the guys before the show. If KD does leave, and tell me in the chat if you guys agree with
And
this.
I believe that KD's leaving this year.
There's 3 locations he would go to. No, I'm sorry, 2. No.
You said
3.
2.
3. No, well, one's off the table. But I'll just go based off of location. There's 3 teams he would go to. One's off the table, and that's DC. Because they're disbanding. There's no way he would go there. Unless he really wanted to be the guy.
Which, by the way, that's a team to keep an eye on. That if they're looking at possibly bringing in guys that maybe not superstar caliber, but that could really solidify this bench this year in a trade, that's a team that's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on in the coming weeks and months.
Otto Porter, Kelly Oubre, to name a couple.
Yep.
Obviously, Beal, TTP knows that one. The other two locations I could see Durant going to is New York and then Philadelphia. I don't think he goes anywhere else. Like somebody, I think we were talking like Minnesota or something. Like, no. He's coming east because he wants to be on the opposite coast of LeBron to really cement that, okay, this is LeBron's coast.
Right.
This is KD's coast. If people at home, you don't think that matters, it does. Trust me. And then, two,
It's like Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah.
well, he wants his own conference.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
Because at the end of the day, KD and the Sixers, LeBron in LA, then we really start ramping that up.
TTP says Ben, Jimmy, KD, and Joe. Holy shit.
I'm going to fall down right now.
He says we'd have to let JJ go, which, I mean, listen, you're bringing in KD.
You're bringing in
I-
arguing with the
You
greatest
don't
shooter
need-
of all
yeah.
time. I think you can let JJ go.
I absolutely love JJ. One of my favorite Sixers probably over the last 15 years. I've always been a JJ fan, but guess what? Bring me in KD any day. I mean, if they can make that happen, that'd be great. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm looking realistically. I mean, if they're bringing a Korver in this year, I'm looking at them probably bringing – and I don't even know who would probably fall into that $21 to $25 million range that they would have to spend next year. But I don't want Carmelo this year. I like the pieces that are in Washington if they're looking to add.
Yeah.
I don't mind a Korver. I hate the extra year on the contract. Korver is a guy I do think would help this. And listen, you have JJ.
Here you go.
You got JJ and Kyle Korver out there on the 3-point line at the end of games.
Before I bring this up, I am not comparing him to Kyle Korver as a shooter. I am not even saying he's anywhere near
Know where you're going.
as a ball player. However, you do have a guy on your roster right now who has gotten a little bit of run and has got a little confidence behind him right now in Korkmaz.
Yeah.
And I know, part of why he hasn't played is his defense. And if you watch the game last night, he played a little defense. And he's got a little jump to his step. He can obviously shoot the ball.
Didn't they declined his
his
option.
option.
That's why he wanted to get traded. That's
And
why he requested a trade.
Right. And I'm not
Right.
saying he's better than Kyle Korver as a shooter. No shot. But in lieu of adding that extra year,
Yeah.
you have a guy now, if JJ's on your first team, a guy that can run off of Markelle on the second team
Sure.
and at least stretch the floor as a pure shooter.
Well, the same thing people were talking about with Shamet, who I like. And he clearly has confidence that I wish Fultz had half of.
Well, Shaman, I think, is your sixth man.
Yes.
He's not a part of he's not a part of your starting five. He's not a part of your second five. He's that mesh.
Well, I saw it in a group. It might have been the Real Talk group. People were ripping Shamet, saying, "Oh, he's a liability on defense." Stop it. We don't need him. We don't need him to play defense. We need him to do something we really can't do. That's shoot with confidence. He's our backup Redick right now. I mean, that's what Redick took him under his wing for a reason.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. A lot to be excited about, though, guys.
Thank
Tomorrow,
God.
Jimmy Butler's making his debut tomorrow night. I'm really
I'm
excited to
catching
see
We're
how
gonna be
that.
We're gonna be watching it on the show tomorrow.
Yeah,
Live
so-
reactions.
Tomorrow on the Fix, they'll be doing live reactions. There is no AM and the PM tomorrow, correct?
Correct.
No AM and the PM tomorrow. We'll be back Thursday. We'll have lazy booking. We'll have hockey happy hour and probably a little bit of snow coming down from outside while we're doing the shows. And he'll still be wearing his shorts, too.
Always.
No show on Friday nights, although we have a show coming up soon on Friday nights. Is that correct?
Reportedly,
Yes,
yes.
it is.
It's confirmed.
It's
yes,
confirmed.
it's
Okay.
confirmed. So yes,
confirmed.
All
very
right.
soon.
So we'll have some information.
I forget their name. I forget the name of the show.
Philly Sport Guys.
Philly Sports Guys.
Philly
Yeah.
Sports
Philly
Guys.
Sports Guys.
So-
Starting Friday after the week after Thanksgiving, the 30th.
So there you go.
Sweet.
And I mean they've appeared on A2D back previously.
Good guys.
Really good
Yeah, real
guys,
good guys.
a lot of fun to listen to. So we're looking forward to them joining the team. Saturday we got the Hooligans. Are we having agree to disagree
Yes.
on Sunday? Okay, so we do have agree to disagree on
Yes.
Sunday. And of course, we got the Sports Hounds on Monday, and we'll be back. We will be back next week. So I'm almost thinking it's Thanksgiving and we're not. I don't know. But anyway, guys, great stuff today. Appreciate you guys joining us on Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, all the good stuff. IG. Chuck still has to get an IG.
I'm never getting an
Thank
IG.
you to our sponsors, obviously Gibson Mayer LLC, Specialized Physical Therapy, Scanzano Sports, as always. Greg, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, happy anniversary,
Greggy.
boys.
Yeah, and just a quick shout out. We appreciate all you guys who
Thank
joined
you
us over
guys
the last
so
year.
much.
A lot of you guys are still with us from the first day.
It's
We
been one hell of a
appreciate it.
year.
And special shout out to Paulie, who is with NBC Sports. Paulie's doing big things, good thing to him. And thanks for Brodo for doing a great job over the last
bro.
year.
No problem.
Looking forward to Grimace over here.
The birthplace.
I'm wearing a
of the
T-shirt and
bro.
jeans. I don't know what you're talking about.
T-shirt and jeans. That's a long T-shirt.
No, and it's great stuff. And thanks to Tom,
very chilly.
obviously. Tom was actually going to try to get on, but Tom's enjoying Florida right now and out of this crap. So, but thanks to him, man. It's been a fun ride this year. Looking forward to doing more of it, guys. We'll unfortunately try to enjoy this week's game and have a good week.